happy. You know, we're excited for this day, this celebration. We never really celebrate ourselves. So today is really about coming, you know, together and see how we can celebrate our achievements, look at, you know, where we had challenges. We have to be open about it. You know, the journey of a woman, a young woman from the girl to womanhood is very tough, very hard. But we were resilient, you know, we go through it and we make it happen. So I'm just welcoming you quickly. I'm going to leave the floor to our sister Ruth Aini. She's here and she's not going to tell you, but I called her last minute yesterday and I said, please, Aini, I can't do it, unfortunately, but, you know, can you step in? And she said, yes. She only said, I've got you. So that's the only thing a sister needs to know, is to know that her sisters get her and them. So really, I'm grateful for that. So everyone, I wish you welcoming, good celebration, and I let Ruth Aini and of course her sister Nabu is here. I see the camera. She knows we chased it. She just said yes, so we were so grateful for that. So really, I want to welcome everyone and leave our sisters take the floor. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this celebration of sisterhood. And thank you, V, for giving me this opportunity to be able to host this. So sorry that you're not feeling well, but I'm hoping that all our warmth today, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, from wherever we are all joining in from, is going to keep you warm and give you strength to help. Now, before our first speaker, I just want to share us a quote which is about sisterhood and which is what we are all about today and what it is that we're doing. A sister is a gift to the heart, a friend to the spirit, a golden thread to the meaning of life. Because there is one thing stronger than magic, and that is sisterhood. So as we go through this couple of hours that we are going to be listening in, let us think about the gift of sisterhood, the spirit of sisterhood, but also the meaning of life that we bring about by the fact that we are just sisters. And to start us off, we are going to have the lovely Nabu. Let me get her name right. I think it is Miss Nabu Fall, who is a visionary entrepreneur. Hello, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. So I'm just going to give you 5 minutes to give us the opening, which is just about the celebration of the sisters that we
I'll be 6 or 7. I'm just letting you know. I try to be 5.
Okay, all right. All right, then that is fine.
Thank you. Are you ready to transform the world and make it a more inclusive and equal one? Maybe, like me, you were told by society that your duty is to be pretty, that your destiny is tied to a man, and that the only measure of your success is to be a wife. Maybe, like me, you believe their lies, telling you, make sure you are a good cook. You must be an obedient wife. A childless woman is worthless. Shame, you're a single mother. Maybe, like me, you thought that you don't deserve to be a CEO, an artist, a scientist, an executive, or whoever you wanted to be. Maybe, like me, you thought that only men were fit to be CEOs or run companies or even an executive. Imagine a world where you can be who you want to be, where you can be a lawyer in heels or an engineer with long red nails. Imagine if you knew where to find career opportunities and how to benefit from them. Imagine you had access to role models who mentor and guide you towards success. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Nabu Fall, and I'm honored to be here with you today to the first Be Your Powerfully Womanhood celebration. I'm here because I've been you, a young executive woman trying to fit in a patriarchal corporate world where I was being judged, not on my competencies, no, but on my behaviors, my emotions, my looks. As a victim of gender bias, I've been underestimated, undervalued, disrespected, stigmatized. I've experienced imposter syndrome. I've lacked self-confidence. But with time, I've rose above my own prejudices and others and judgment to focus on my goals. Therefore, through hard work, I was able to land my dream job when I was 29 years old. However, there was an issue. I didn't know how to ask for the salary that I really deserved. So I went to see my friend Eddie and I said, Eddie, tell me, how do I go and negotiate and ask for what I deserve? And how much should I ask for? Eddie told me, but just go and ask for $10,000. I said, what? This is too much. Nobody's gonna give me that. He said, just turned around, looked at me and say, do you know your worth? I just stopped for a second talking and reflected. And you know what happened to me? I went to the interview and I got those $10,000. In the course of my career, when I was pregnant, I have been challenged, sidelined, but it didn't stop me. It fueled me with energy and rage to go further by working harder and smarter. My sisters, it is now the time to carry your head high, wear your power jacket with confidence, carry your womanhood with pride and own it. You are unstoppable. You are more than just a beautiful woman, you are a powerful force with a mission to empower the world. Your voice, my voice, carries all the burden of the women who sacrificed for us to be here today, freely expressing ourselves. The time has come to believe in your power to transform the world so that all the little girls who are raised believing that being born a woman is a curse, see in you infinite possibilities for themselves. You carry a responsibility to your community, towards your community. So you must be an example of commitment. You never know who you inspire through your actions. And it's only together, collectively, that we will shift a narrative of victimization to a story of growth and empowerment. It is now the moment to stop accepting being labeled angry, aggressive, or emotional. No, you're not angry. You're strong, and you deserve to be respected. No, you're not aggressive. You're assertive, and it's your right to fight for what you deserve and what you're owed. Imagine if you, sorry, I must. No, you're not emotional. You're authentic, and no emotion should be shut in the name of fronting. The time is now to show up and shine, to dress up and rise, because you're worth it. However, I'm going to tell you one thing. Your growth is not going to be easy. Your journey through womanhood, in your journey through womanhood, you will face hardship, disappointment, dejection, fallbacks. And your body will fail you during your periods, your pregnancy, and your menopause. Of course, you're not yet there, but it's part of the journey. But it won't make you less competent. It will just make you who you are, a woman experiencing womanhood. Do not hide it or be ashamed of it. Just own it because it is who you are. Also, you will meet people who won't support you. And some will even dislike you for no reason. You won't even know why. They will fight you. You will fall, you will stumble, you will doubt. Always keep in mind one thing. You carry within you the strength of the Kandak of Kush, the audacity of the Minas of the Amazons of Benin, of Abomey Kingdom. You have in you the courage of Amina of Zaria, the fearlessness of Ya Asantewa, the power of Tetu Betu, the resilience of Ndateyala, the boldness of Rosa Parks, and the resilience of Harriet Tubman. Also, look around you, the women in your family. They are your example. They fought hard for you. They fought hard for the family. The blood flowing in their veins of these women who dared is the same blood that is flowing in your blood and in my blood. You have it in you to stand up for yourself, to voice your concern, to fight back, to back up, to get back up, and to be bold. Never, ever settle for less than you deserve, because you deserve it all. With sweat, faith, hard work, and focus, your dreams will turn into reality. When it's hard, and believe me, it will be hard, because that's what life is about. Seek wisdom, clarity, and purpose within you. Listen to your inner voice to reframe your narrative. And don't let anyone shut your hopes and deny you to see yourself at the top. Only you can stop you. My dear sisters, be generous, share knowledge with humility, put the light on others, pass the torch, and pay it forward. When you receive, you must give back. When you lead, be a servant. Listen, understand, support. Be a life learner, open your eyes and your ears, listen to stories, reflect on your own stories, learn from them. This is how you build an invisible protective shield for yourself. Womanhood is not for the faint-hearted, believe me. And if you're here today, it's because you're ready to walk the talk and benefit from the amazing spirit of sisterhood we're all building here together with Zahara's dream. Thank you, Verlaine, for having us here today. Be your sister's keeper in all situations. The same way it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a strong network of women, supportive women, to build an equal and inclusive world. I urge you to make your voice heard, to express your opinion, and create opportunities to take a stand to improve women's condition everywhere. Anytime you're somewhere, create that opportunity to stand up for everybody, for all the women, for all the sisters. I believe that empowered women empower the world. I'm going to borrow that quote to Nelson Mandela. He said, "What is done for us without us is done against us." So now, ladies, I invite you to take a pledge on how you will dare to inspire, to impact, to transform. I want you to write your pledge in the chat. I will leave you with the words of Laurel Ulrich: "Well-behaved women seldom make history." I invite you to go out there and misbehave to make history. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nabu. That was very, very, very great. I think we have all started on the right note. Very well-mannered women seldom make history. So go out and misbehave just so that, you know, you can change the world. And I would love to say yes, yes, and yes to those words. Thank you so much for starting us on the right note. My heart is bubbling. I all have goosebumps because, I mean, I needed to hear these words, and I'm sure everyone else here needed to hear those words. Thank you so much. And now we go on to our next speaker, who also has just 5 minutes. Ms. Bogolo Kenendo. Sorry, Ms. Bogolo Kenendo, who we know as the first female youth MP in Botswana. Bogolo, are you there?
I am here. Thank you very much.
Okay, can we see you? Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And sisters, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much, Nabu, for that great opening. I feel like actually I shouldn't even speak after you because that was very well articulated. And the 5 minutes is also a challenge, but in thinking about what I wanted to share with you today in this 5 minutes, and how I could possibly celebrate being me powerfully in the presence of sisters who are also celebrating being themselves powerfully, I couldn't help but think about my own personal journey, the 13-year-old who was abruptly thrown into being an adult and taking care of herself, living alone, having those responsibilities of being an adult, or the 16-year-old who penned her first vision board and life plan, or my 21-year-old self who was slightly overconfident, arrogantly confident, or that 25-year-old who thrived on taking risks and climbing down career peaks when everyone thought she was crazy, or that 29-year-old, of course, who became the youngest female member of parliament in Botswana. And these are just some of the critical points that have created the person that I am today. As Steve Jobs once said, you know, you can't connect your life looking forward, but you can just connect the dots looking backwards. And one can only hope that when you look backwards in the future, those dots will make sense somehow. And thank God all of those things make sense today. And in connecting those dots, I just want to start off by sharing some of my affirmations to my younger self, to you, and possibly to myself in this particular moment in my life. And first and foremost, the first affirmation is, you are doing great. And of course, my 21-year-old self, who's arrogantly overconfident, is also already knows that she's doing great. But for those days that you feel that you aren't enough, or you're feeling awkward, you don't fit in, when people make fun of you, remember that you are enough, that you have strength more than you can imagine, and that you will one day carry the hopes and dreams of your country, of your communities, even in your small circles, and that your strength is born from the hopes, is born from the waters of the adaptability, taking any form and shape, and that is an unstoppable strength. And it is important for me to note that I am of a water tribe, and I believe in the strength of my ancestors and of that water. And so your success as an African child, I believe, is your birthright, and that there has been too much sweat and too much blood that has been shed for you not to be successful and not to be yourself powerfully. And your background does not define you, as you once rightfully said, when I said when I was 16 that my life up to 18 is a construct of my parents, but my life when I'm 28 is a construct of my own. So judge me then, and we can talk, and I can take responsibility for my life then. And this was powerfully asserting my personal agency, determination, and zeal, one that I'm still particularly super proud of, a 16-year-old being able to articulate that, recognizing that the background that they are born in is not necessarily determining the future, but they have to work a lot harder to get where they want to. And so as you battle with the issues of your place in leadership, as you battle with your place in society and the centuries-old stereotypes and cultural biases, remember the words that were penned down by a famous feminist, Miss Hazel Kirby, and she said, and I want to quote this, the objective of stereotypes is not to reflect or represent a reality, but to function as a disguise or mystification of objective social relations. And I want to say that again. The objective of stereotypes is not to reflect or represent a reality, but to function as a disguise or mystification of objective social relations. So in your spaces, as you demystify your role, you challenge yourself, and I ask you to challenge yourself, that you ask yourself and those around you if you are succumbing to those cultural biases, if you're succumbing to the unconscious biases that have been limitations to women rising and celebrating themselves powerfully over the centuries. Are you automatically giving a nod to male stereotyping and female stereotyping? And lastly, are you a multiplier or are you a diminisher towards building consequential women leadership that is so needed in this 21st century? So if you believe it, I close by saying, so if you believe it, if you're dreaming it, and you should absolutely make it happen, because the worst that could happen is that you fall, and you will only fall as far as the shoulders of the many who have come before you and the arms of the tribe of women that support you. So go on, take that leap. You are ready for it because you are enough. Be you powerfully so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bogolo, for those amazing words. What I took is you are doing great. You have the strength more than you can imagine. And one day you'll carry the hopes and dreams of your community, your society, your nation, your family, everyone. And I think that we need to understand that the greatness that lies within us has absolutely no limitations. Thank you very much for that reminder.
Absolutely.
And I hope that we are all able to begin to affirm positively every day what it is that we are and what it is that we have on the inside of us. Thank you for reminding us of that. And now we will go to, you're welcome. And now we will go to the celebration. We are starting with Malia Baker, who is an actress. Then we'll have Juliana Makonise, who is a youth rights activist. And then we shall end with Wanjohi Njoroge, who is an inclusive development leader. Ladies, are you all here? Come in and say hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
We're good, thank you.
Good. Okay, so I am going to start with Malia. I just want you to tell us just in a few words how you celebrate you and how you celebrate the girl child in your daily life. I hope we're going to be able to see your video as well. We need to see your face.
Yeah, can you guys see me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm an actress. I feel that I have accomplished all that I've wanted to in such a short period of time, and all of my dreams coming from the challenges. And as girls, we have these stereotypes, expectations, and standards that it's a societal construct that is totally unrealistic. And I feel like overcoming those challenges and being here where I am today and being able to use my voice and advocate for change and for women's rights and for everything I want to, it's such a powerful thing. And I think that's what it means for me, is be powerfully you, because we all are so powerful. You just need to unleash it with whatever you have going on.
Malia, are you there?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm still here. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. From a very young age, I knew just how powerful and strong women are, living with my mom and my sister. But seeing my mom in action and hearing her of all of that she's accomplished and all that she's done for other people was not only A, inspiring, but B, such a good role model for me to look up to. Growing up, I looked at all my female role models from my favorite TV shows, movies, books, and online influencers, and I realized that most of them have been shamed for something in the past or the present that didn't fit the societal standard of a woman. As girls, especially young girls, we are faced with these stereotypes that are just so unrealistic. And you have to take into account that all these expectations and stereotypes were created for men, by men. Keep in mind that for girls and Black women of color, we have the basic unrealistic standard. On top of that, we have racial stereotypes to deal with and conflict with being a woman. We are taught all these things that A, shouldn't be taught, and B, aren't true. Like we're supposed to be skinny, have perfect hair, that fertility is our only purpose, and so much more. We have these double standards for women that are no way close to fair, and we don't have basic equality yet. While girls are being taught to close your legs at an inappropriately young age, men and boys are being taught nothing about basic respect, not only for a girl, but as a human. And they get away with that with the phrases like boys will be boys. Which is why I think it's so important to uplift and support your sisters. Sisterhood is such an important thing. The first experience I experienced with sisterhood was when I was younger in kindergarten, and one of my girlfriends was being bullied for having really short hair, and she was told that she was looking like a boy and she will never get a boyfriend or a husband because she looked like that. I remember standing up for her to this little boy and from that moment on, all of the girls in my class had my back like I did theirs. Um, and I feel like it's this thing that goes back and forth. And if you put in the same amount of effort, your girls will get you. Today, I not only stand up for women, but I support them in the ways I can, whether that's cheering them on from the sidelines, creating opportunities for my girlfriends, or giving them a big hug to remind them just how amazing they are, which I truly think we all should once in a while. Speaking of succeeding, I found growing up that people are most surprised when a girl does something that's actually smart, because we are constantly underestimated. For example, I really do enjoy science in school, especially biology, and when an opportunity came along to show just how I love science and show my skills in that subject, I took it. I presented in front of mainly men who were astonished at the language I used and how much I knew about this subject, even though my male classmate right before me said almost the exact same thing. And they said, "Good job, you're a real boy. I knew you'd do amazing." Compared to me, I'm surprised you didn't just put pink sparkles all over the project. Completely crazy, because there's such double standards in school and in the real life, and growing up and trying to go into your womanhood and going through that journey, it can really set you back. Which again is why I think it's so important with sisterhood, because if one of us who advocates for us all succeeds, we all do. I feel as girls, we have to work extra hard to prove worthy, whereas our male peers work an average amount, and it's supposedly incredible. The same kind of thing happens now as an actress. Wow, you got that part, you're so lucky. Compared to my male actor friends, wow, you must have worked so hard. You deserve this so much. It's a subtle difference, but it's there and it doesn't feel good. It devalues your hard work and accomplishments, which isn't okay, and that happened to not only me, but to so many other girls and young women out there, and still happens to this day, as I'm sure you are all very familiar with. I figured out that you have to trust that the girls got you, because we do. Sisterhood is powerful. Who I am, what my interests are, what my passions are about, is when I found myself and I was able to advocate for not only myself, but for others. That is such an important part of your journey into womanhood. And as a young girl, I feel like you fully find that when you use your voice for the first time. I struggled with when I took action. I know that was something I struggled with until I took action in what I want to do and began the journey of who I wanted to be. As a girl, I realized that you need to own it with passion and love, because you are you and you are powerful. We are all different. We are all going through our own journeys. We are all finding ourselves, and that is beyond okay. We need to remember that we are together. Sisterhood is this strong bond that can never be broken. And yes, I think I'll leave it off there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Malia. I think that sometimes we think that being out in the West, especially for us that are in the global South, we kind of equate being in the West or anywhere else to women having an easier time, but that is not the case. We all still have work to do in our communities and in our societies, so as that we're able to uplift each other. And thank you so much for that. Next, we're going to have Juliana Makonese, who's from Zimbabwe. She won the GFPS Kasoma Africa essay writing competition in, I think, 2017, but is also a young youth activist in her country. Juliana, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you. Thank you. Please go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Zahara's Dream, for giving me this opportunity to share my story. And I must say, I'm really excited because my ultimate dream is just to make sure my voice counts. So I believe this is just one of those ways of making my voice count. So be you powerfully to me simply means finding my purpose and living my purpose. At a very young age, I discovered my purpose of speaking. I loved to speak. I remember the first time getting a chance to just voice out my concerns. I was still in high school and I was quite short. And my physical stature really made me feel very intimidated. I was bullied at once for being too short and looking so young. And even right now, I'm 20, but I believe I still look so young. So that was a major limitation for me, not only as a girl, but simply as a human being. So I had a lot of challenges trying to be confident in my body and just being confident to speak out when I had the chance. So that's how my journey towards being a youth activist started. It started off due to public speaking. You know, speaking gave me power. It gave me that sense of belonging where I felt that I could go anyway and simply take charge. Because the moment I started speaking, everyone would start staring at me. And those eyes of the people, they gave me power. And I believe even right now, it's important that we all find our purpose. We all discover who we are. And we take pride in who we are. Because the fact that I know that I can speak, no one can take that away from me. No one can take my voice and own it. No one can take my space to speak and say, this is it. We can take your spot. So that's matter of just finding a purpose and finding what you're good at. It simply gives you power. So that's what being powerfully means to me. Now, as a youth activist, I became more active when it came to that last year when I decided to take a gap year. You know, when I took the gap year, I distanced myself from a lot of people. A lot of my friends, they left me because of that. They felt that I was lagging behind too much and I wasn't following the trends because, well, here in Zimbabwe, we believe that once you're done with high school, you go to university. So there was no chance of taking a gap year or anything like that. But it was just, I would say it was fortunate that I took that decision. And I say to myself, I am going to commit my life towards developing other people. I'm going to use my voice, make my voice count through making positive impact in the society. And that's how I became, the creative writer as mentioned. I've won a lot of writing competitions because I advocate through storytelling too. At times I put myself in the shoes of a woman who struggles a lot. I put myself in the shoes of young people who go through bullying, who have certain issues that are affecting them, but they cannot voice them out. So I use my talents to simply be the power, to give power to fellow young women. So as a youth activist, it hasn't been easy. As I said, I've lost friends, but I believe that the few that I still have, the few women who are cheering me on, and even the men too. I always have two of my friends, that's Phoebe and Kaziva. They're always there cheering me on and saying, Juliana, you're amazing. You're awesome. You deserve each and everything that you get. So just that positive talk, that positive affirmation, it simply gives me strength. And I do know that whatever path I'm going to take, it's not going to be the same as everyone. But I know I possess power. And that power is my passion to speak. So I would like to urge all the women out there, all the young people, to discover who they are. You have something unique inside you. You have a unique talent. You have something that no one else has. And that is what must give you the courage, the confidence, the zeal to live life. You need to wake up and say, whatever's going to happen, it will happen. But I know I have this one thing that I can do, and no one can take it away from me. So that's the person I am. And just to add on to that, I'm also a life learner. I love information. I've told myself that I'd rather know a little bit about everything than not to know at all. So I just simply make sure I am well versed with whatever is there, whatever is happening, be it politics, any social issues, or any issue itself that is happening. Because I believe that once you have information, when there are certain conversations that are going to be taking place, you can participate, you can voice out, and you won't feel intimidated because you know what you're talking about and you are in control of your thoughts. And you can make sure that you utilize the opportunities that come to you because you're prepared. So when an opportunity comes, you always need to be prepared. So that's the person I am. And I believe that as I start my journey towards university, towards college, I'm pretty sure that one day I will be giving a speech saying I'm the United Nations Secretary General because that's the power jacket that I hope to get. And I know that it's possible. And yeah, I am me powerfully. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juliana. I suddenly feel so old because you're just 20 years old. And I'm also reminded of the fact that age is just a number. Thank you so much for sharing your heart with us. We see you, we see your potential, we see your greatness. Just keep on doing what it is that you are doing. Thank you very much. And now, lastly, for this panel where we're celebrating the girl, we shall have Wanjuhi Njoroge, who is from Kenya. Wanjuhi, are you there?
Yes,
She's a climate activist. She does a lot of work with youth and climate in Nairobi, Kenya, and elsewhere. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. How are you? Speak to us.
thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm very, very well. It's a very cold day in Nairobi, but grateful nonetheless. As I was reflecting on celebrating Wanjohi the girl, it took me back to the young girl who was born at the foot of Mount Kenya in a very small village, shy and very timid. And I remember one time my mother telling me that we will help you set up your own hairdressing salon, because they never saw as though I would amount to much. And this they meant, they meant the best for me, and that's what they believed was the best. But deep down in my heart, I saw this powerful woman. I remember in 2002, there was a general election that saw Kenya transition from a dictator who had been in power for so long to an incredible leader who had been trying to be president for quite some time. And a crop of women leaders also became members of parliament. And I remember watching them, and I would always tell myself as a very young girl that one day I will be those women. And I think one of the things that I would want to celebrate is that although I'm not where I want to go, I am slowly becoming that young woman, that woman that young girl had seen. The other thing I would want to celebrate is in high school. So when I joined high school from primary school, I was very, very shy, and I could not even stand and speak in front of people. But when I joined high school, the school administration looked at me and saw potential leadership. And they pulled it out by making me a deputy head girl in Form 2 and a head girl in Form 3. And so I celebrate that girl that was born, because that became the beginning of my journey in leadership. And after that, I went on to university level again, joining leadership. After university, I set up my own business, which hasn't been easy. But today we are celebrating sisterhood, and I am a product, or my business is a product of very selfless women. I will sit in a conference and I will meet a woman, and they will tell me, and we'll just start talking, and the woman will say, this is my card. I give you an appointment for 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Come and let me guide you on how to do A, B, C, and D. Let me guide you on how to do business with government. I am a product of phenomenal women who've gone ahead of me and carved out a path. I'm a product of Beijing 25. Because those women carved out a path for me. I aspire to join politics, and probably in the next general election. And that is because I'm a product of women, the likes of Mother Karua, who went ahead of me and showed me that it was actually possible. The other woman I would want to celebrate, the other thing I would want to celebrate in myself is that I have gone back, and that is why I believe in equality, and I believe in reaching out to the people in the rural areas, especially the young girls in the rural areas, ensuring that they join high school and they transition into institutions of higher learning, because I'm speaking here today because I've gained an education. I also want to celebrate the young girl who gets angry at her government every time, like now when you're thinking about COVID, and I see the handling of government in COVID-19 response. When I see the glaring gaps that exist in development, when I see that we only have 100 ventilators meant to serve 50 million people, I want to step up and join politics, join leadership, and join public service as well. I want to encourage many more young people to join public service so that we can serve people who have the heart to serve our country and our people. As I grow older, I'm learning to let my light shine, because every time I have let my light shine, magic has happened. I have gone on to sit on very powerful regional boards. I've gone on to influence major decisions. I've gone on to influence major policies, but it is because I believed, and everything I have set my mind to, I always achieve it. And how do I achieve it? I achieve it by silencing the noises, because there will always be naysayers who tell you that you can't achieve A, you can't achieve B, but I shut my ears to noise. I want to leave you with a wonderful story of a frog. There was a scientist who was doing research on 4 frogs, and he wanted to see if frogs could climb up the wall. And then there was audience that was watching him do all these things. The first frog went up, and people started going up, and people made a lot of noise saying how it can't go up. And the frog didn't go up, the second one and the third one. And then the fourth one went up, irrespective of the noises in the background. And so when the scientist did the research and he found out that the frog was deaf, they could not hear. And I live by that. So I will silence my ears to the noise, because there will always be noise. And for us women, my goodness, you have people asking about marriage. Well, when will you ever get married? You're too aggressive. After marriage, they will ask you, when do you intend to get children? You're growing old, your biological, and they will tell you, you're becoming too strong. Even your own family will start telling you that you need to tone down. But I silence my ears to the noise. I believe that if that is where I want to go, it doesn't matter how rough and how difficult it is, I'm going to get there. So I want to encourage all of us. There are days I'm filled with self-doubt. I will be invited to speak at very powerful platforms, but I will feel very, very intimidated when I meet some of the people who've probably gone to Ivy League schools, who are leading big organizations, and these people expect me to give them feedback. But I still remind myself that my light is so beautiful, and I need to let it shine. So I will once again silence the noises and keep moving. So what inspires me? I look back at how far I have come, the challenges I've managed to surmount, the unimaginable things I've been able to achieve. And that in itself is a reason for me to keep going. I think of my mother, who is a mere primary school teacher, but the magic this phenomenal woman has transformed, has made, she's taken all of us to school, of course with the help of my father, but with her meager salary. My mother is an activist. I always say I'm a daughter of a wonderful, phenomenal activist. She's a teacher, and she tells me in 1997 and below, they used to earn less than $100. And she was among the teachers who led one of the biggest teacher strike in the history of this country. And that changed the way teachers are paid, the benefits they take home. And I remember sitting in our small kitchen in the village, and she would come back home and give me the stories of the strike and how the police officers would chase them away with tear gas. She would come back with one shoe. And I loved listening to those stories. And so every day I remind myself, I have run one of the biggest campaigns in Kenya called Save Our Forests KE, which led to a total ban on forest harvesting. And every day I remind myself of my mother. And I remember looking at her and listening to how we would compose the songs that they would be leading in the strikes together. And so I want to encourage all of us. Yes, there will be days of doubt. There will be days we will feel unworthy. But may we look back at how far we've come from. May we look back at the history of the women who went ahead of us, who carved out a wonderful path for us. And may they inspire us every single day. We can achieve everything that we desire. We can achieve everything that we set our minds on, because we are powerful. I am powerfully me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wanjuhi Njoroge, for sharing those lovely, lovely words with us. And we are rooting for you. Just go on, take office. Let us know if you need campaign managers and people to hold placards for you. We shall be there with you all the way. Thank you for also reminding us that it is important that we look back at the people that have paved the way for us. And I think that the Beijing Plus 25 process and the women emancipation process in our communities, our mothers, in our countries, in our nations. These are people that we need to look at and be thankful for, and also acknowledge that they have done pretty much some of the work, most of the work for us. We exist because they are. Thank you very much. This has been a very, very powerful panel of 3 speakers that have been celebrating the girl. Now, remember that we shall have an hour at the end to just share all our thoughts. We shall be able to, ask questions or even just voice our opinions later on as we go on. But for now, we are going into the second panel, and we are going to be celebrating the journey into adulthood. We have Atiya Sumar, Cindy Zemura Bernard, Ria Yuyada, and Christelle Onwo. Now we're going to start with Atiya Sumar, who I think 2 weeks ago led us in a very lovely session on a Saturday morning or evening for the Be Powerfully You series. And this morning she tweeted, "Be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire." Atiya, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining us. Please, you have 5 minutes as well.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. And hello, women of the world. I'm not going to get into any formalities. I'll just jump straight into what I want to speak about. So today I'd like to talk about choices. When we discuss feminism and women, we speak about resilience, strength, power. All of these stem from choice, which we rarely mention. So there are 2 primary choices in life: to accept things as they are, or to accept the responsibility for changing them. So our lives are made up of choices, big ones, small ones. Happiness is a choice. Authenticity is a choice. Strength is a choice. Fear is a choice. Following the crowd is a choice. Staying silent is a choice. But remember, whatever choice you make, it's eventually going to make you. So let your choices be guided by your innermost desires and dreams, and not your fears and societal pressures. You know, each one of us over here today has got the potential for changing our life, or for touching someone else's life, or for contributing to positive change in the world. And each one of us here also has the choice to accept defeat and fear and society's opinions about you as a woman. The point is that you always have a choice. The world, society will drag you along this journey called life. Are you just going to go with the flow and see where life takes you? Or are you going to carve your own path? Are you going to make yourself proud, or are you going to make yourself small to fit into the box society has defined for you? So it is not our abilities or our circumstances that define who we really are. It is actually our choices who make us what we are. We can either choose to be a victim of the world or the master of our own destiny. Sorry, not master, mistress of our own destiny. Now, since we are celebrating womanhood today, I would like to celebrate a woman whose strength and independence has really inspired me. And I'm going to tell you the real life story of my aunt, my father's sister. Her name is Nargis. And while I tell you her story very quickly, I want you to focus on her circumstances and then decide, was it her circumstances which shaped her journey, or was it the choices she made? So Nargis was born in the 1950s to a poor family in a remote village in Tanzania, and she was one of 9 siblings. Her father had a small shop, and when he traveled for work, which was very often, Nargis's mother looked after the shop. By the time Nargis was 11, her mother's responsibilities had increased at home. She had more children, and so it fell on Nargis to help in the shop. She would wake up early, clean the shop, make sure everything was arranged neatly, and then she walked 2 miles to school. After school, she also helped in the shop for a couple of hours so her mother could tend to the younger kids. She supervised the loading and offloading of the goods whenever her father traveled. By the age of 12, she was writing invoices, taking care of stock. And unfortunately, by the age of 14, Nargis's mother could hardly devote any time to the shop, and so Nargis had to quit school and manage the shop full time. But she loved reading, so she joined the local library and kept up with her education by reading. Now, during this time, they moved from the small village to a town which was slightly more developed and accessible. And in the town, Nargis found a mentor, her aunt, her mother's youngest sister, who lived in the same town. She was slightly more educated than the other women. She saw Nargis's love for reading and learning, so she helped Nargis to enroll in a long-distance course for English grammar and bookkeeping. So while girls her age had a social life, Nargis's life revolved around managing the shop, doing her assignments for her course, and on the weekends, she would learn how to use a typewriter from her aunt. It's not that she didn't want to have friends and fun, but she had a focus. She wanted to lift her family out of poverty, improve their standard of living, but most importantly, she didn't want any of her siblings to drop out of school because of lack of funds. Now, when Nargis turned 17, her father took her to the largest city in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. He set up a shop over there and told Nargis, you will be living here with your uncle and you will be running this shop independently. She was 17. Her family was going to live in the town. She found this extremely challenging, but she took it as an opportunity for learning and growth. She learned how to bank, how to order stock, pay bills, and this was a purely male-dominated field. She was the only girl. Forget women. There were no women running any shops independently at that time in the 1960s in Tanzania. But she was the only girl. And when she was in town, before she had moved to Dar es Salaam, at the age of 15, she also learned how to drive. She was the only girl in that town who used to drive, and the only girl at 17 who was running a shop independently. In fact, she did so well that she couldn't participate in her elder sister's marriage because she was funding the marriage from Dar es Salaam, sending money to town at the age of 18, 19, so her sister could get married. Now, it was very unheard of that an Indian girl in her mid-20s, during the 1970s, she was unmarried. So her family moved to Dar es Salaam as well, but she refused to get married because she felt her siblings still needed her. Eventually, at 25, she got married and she moved to Canada. Now, that came with a completely fresh batch of challenges for Nargis. And to cut a long story short, she made a success of her life in Canada too. Her first job in Canada was in the laundry section of a hotel. She had to carry loads of wet laundry up 3 floors because the dryers were on the 3rd floor. But eventually she progressed because she kept on doing short courses and learning. She learned computers, although people discouraged her. You know, they said, this is something very new. You don't know how long it's going to last. You just stick to your shopkeeping and typing, but she learned computers. And there came a point when she couldn't work in the daytime because she had 2 small boys. She was doing her short courses in the daytime and she started working night shift at a bank doing data entry. Today, Nargis is 65. She spends her time in traveling, doing social work, and helping raise her grandkids. So what did I learn from her journey? I learned that life is not determined by the cards you are dealt, but how you decide to play them. It is either your circumstances which lead you and you go with the flow, or you take the reins of your life in your own hand and live with a purpose. Her choices were filled with growth and hope. And therefore, instead of becoming a choice, she was the one choosing. She was a first for women in so many things: solo traveling, driving, running a shop independently, getting married at 25, whereas girls at that time got married at 18. So from my aunt's journey, I learned that being challenged in life is inevitable, but being defeated is a choice. And I would like to end this by saying that because this is a celebration, I really want to celebrate and give thanks to all the women before me who used their voices when I was too scared to use mine. Thank you for teaching me that our voices are powerful beyond measure, and we should never bury them in our throats. And thank you for showing me that our hearts are alive and vibrant, and they are not a graveyard for our dreams and desires. I would like to leave you with this parting thought, which is a famous quote. Heroes are made by the paths they choose, and not by the powers that they are graced with. Are you walking your own path, or are you walking the path society has decided for you? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Atia. Thank you so much for those encouraging and challenging words. Are you walking your own path or the path that society has designed for you? That is a lot of food for thought. And I'm going to be pondering about that. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Cindy Zemura Bernard. Are you there?
I am here, Ruth. How are you?
I am good. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see everyone. Hi, ladies. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I see Ria. I see so many faces that I haven't seen in a while. And thank you, Verlaine, for this platform. I've been so excited for days ever since I got the invitation to be here today. So I'm really, really excited to be sharing this virtual celebration with all the ladies that I'm here. It's really inspiring. I ended up saying I don't even know what to speak about, but I just want to keep quiet and just take it all in, because now I'm at the stage where I want to listen more and speak less, because it really inspires me to hear the stories of the phenomenal women that you hardly recognize are around you, because you often think that your journey has just been about you, or sometimes when you go through stuff, as we call it as women, you forget that you have powerful women and sisters and young sisters around you. So thank you so much to Verlaine for this. And I'm really happy that we seem to have quite a mix in terms of age groups, even though, you did say, Ruth, that age is nothing but a number. But I think with us being able to share the stage and share our experiences, it really goes to show that we are on a journey together, and a journey that is worth being celebrated. One thing that I do want to say to those that are younger than us is, listen, you are having it well, you are having it good, because I think when we started, we really had opportunities to start where we can get together and have our elder sisters being with us and to share their journey and the journeys of their mothers and those that went before them. And we're here today, we're able to listen to what you are going through in your 20s, and to hear, what those that went before us went through, and we're all just able to share the experiences. I also just want to touch on and also agree with everyone that has spoken to say, as women, we are often labeled. We often come into the world and already there's a label that is on us. My own personal journey is one that I hardly speak of, but where I sit today, I really celebrate it, because I realized that it was really the grace of the women that have held my hand along the way. It's honestly the grace of the choices, some of them that were not so good, to be quite honest, because we cannot run away from being frank to say, as a young person, you can make wrong choices, or the so-called bad choices. But the whole thing is, what do you do with those choices once you make them? What are some of the lessons that you learn from those choices when you make them? And then what, who's there along the journey with you? I left South Africa when I was pretty young. I was just slightly over 16 years old. I'm sorry, my daughter just wanted to come and show her face, and she put makeup on her eyelashes by herself. So Ria, say hi everyone, and then you can.
Hi, Ria.
Okay, baby, I love you. I'm so sorry about that, but let me not apologize. Why here? She's learning. She'll be on this chat in a couple of years, and also talking about that. So yeah, my journey started when I was pretty young. I lost my dad when I was slightly into my teenage years. I come from a very big family, very mixed family. And in the African context, a child is a child. It doesn't matter where they come from. But out of choices that I made, I left South Africa and moved to Europe. And, you know, at that time, I really had choices as to what I wanted to do, what I wanted to study. So for everyone that's here, for those that are, you know, in the age gap of being adolescents right now and going to your 20s, what I did when I was young, when I was not even 20, when I left home, is I just wanted to enjoy my youth. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to have the experiences and learn and see where my life would take me. And I did exactly that. And I made those mistakes along the way. And I even, you know, I left Europe and I went to the US. I fell in love. And when I tell people that, you know, out of choice, I moved to the US because I was in love with a certain boy. And I thought, oh, my Prince Charming, this is how my life is going to be. We're going to, you know, do all those things. But at the same time, I thought, you know, I'd like to have an education. I'd like to have a career. You know, so I think I allowed myself to fall into different scenarios at that time. But I also, at the back of it, wanted to, I knew that, you know, I had to, a certain thing that I wanted to fall back on. I knew that I had ambition. I dreamt of Cindy being that lawyer that stands. I'd always been about women's rights, even from when I was younger, based on, you know, growing up, seeing some of my family members going through, you know, domestic violence, seeing some of my family members going through different health situations, women in my family that were quote unquote not married and they had children out of wedlock. And in the African context, most of that carried a lot of taboo. So, you know, you go away with life and you're carrying some of these things where you're saying, I don't want to make these mistakes. I don't want to have a child out of wedlock. But then who's defining those things for your life? Like those societal biases and the norms that you should conform to, who's really, you know, who's judging you on that? So the labeling, you carry it wherever you go. And you know, when I was young, when I was in Europe, and even the time when I thought I'm going to move to the US and fall in love, I somewhat carried those mental blocks in my head to say, I don't want to end up being a label like such and such, you had a child out of wedlock. I don't want to end up doing, but I fell into different things and I allowed myself to make mistakes. And when I was in the US, I ended up being homeless because the so-called you know, falling in love didn't end up working. And for about 6 months, I lived on the streets in New York, believe it or not. And within that time frame, I fell into a lot of dangers, you know, the threats to life that brought, you know, to a young person in her mid-20s living on the streets of New York City without really knowing where to go to, where literally every night I had to think, where am I going to put my head down? You know, who's going to give me accommodation today? Whether it, you know, having to figure out if, you know, whether it was a male who would offer me that accommodation, would I take it? But would I be putting my life in danger? You know, or would I have to sleep on the street? You know, those are the decisions and choices that I was confronted on. But this is what I have to say to everybody. We are here today celebrating sisterhood. And I found that during that time, there are women who stretched out their hands for me and to me, even though I didn't even know who they are. There are other women that knew that simply she came from South Africa. They, you know, they would take me into their homes where maybe they worked as au pairs, and they would, you know, hide me for a day or two, and I would sleep in there, but I didn't even know what to do. There are times when I was faced with a decision if, you know, I would have to go out on the streets of New York and decide to be with somebody just because I needed to have a roof over my head. So along the way, as a young person, you have all these choices, and then you start to think, and at that time, you're hardly thinking of your safety. There's hardly also a safety net. Who's going to protect you, you know? So, but I found that the more I told myself that I'm not going to give up, because I started seeing the value in having those women that would come and offer that hand, in having the women that would come and tell me that it's going to be okay, in having, you know, and thinking forward, and also being open-minded to how things could literally, you know, change for me. I have no regrets about that experience. I have no regrets of falling in love with that boy and thinking that those things were, you know, all that I was going to attain it. At that time, yes, I regretted, I hated my life. I could have simply taken my life. Sometimes I thought of doing such because I'm like, what am I doing on the streets of New York City? Yet I could really go back home to a family that loved me and so forth. But where I am now, you know, having gone through the 30s, when now I was able to, you know, get out of that situation, because again, it was the hand of the women that I met along the journey, their inspiration, looking at them, the, you know, sharing the sharing of stories like what we're doing today, the things that they've overcome. And having to move to Canada, I had to move to Canada and seek asylum, because they were, for me, I thought, I woke up one day and I said, this is not an option for me. I'm not going to succumb to my circumstances, because my circumstances are not going to define me. So I either have to get up and do something about myself, or I'm going to just let society claim my life. So when I came to Canada, I made decisions. I had to make internal decisions by myself to say, this is how I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to get myself educated, and I'm going to do A, B, C, D. And that's exactly what I did. And, you know, I find that sometimes the world and Mother Nature really conforms to your mindset. Because if you give it positivity, it gives you back positivity. If you serve negativity to yourself, that's exactly what you're going to reap. So once mentally I was within that changed mindset when I moved to Canada, I saw things starting to change for me. I thought, if I can meet a woman on the street who's educated and says that she's the CEO of a male-led organization, why can I do that? If I have to go and get educated and go to school and at the same time try to find a job, why cannot do that? So that's exactly what I did through all the hardships. And I took the strength of all my experiences, the pain that I had experienced, the shame, the guilt, because you feel all that. And I took that and I used it as my inspiration in everything that I did. And once I came to Canada, I said to myself, I would like to make a change in the world. I want to make sure that my young sisters, as they come up in the world, other women, no matter where they are, you know, in the world, they don't have to go through a decision or, you know, a point where they don't have anywhere to go to sleep, or they don't have any food to eat. And they either have to think, can I use my body to be able to get a place to sleep tonight? Or do I have to, you know, agree to something else because I want to have food on my table? And so again, women were always around me, you know. So I think my message to everybody today is that, you know, we are a sisterhood, and we have to learn and appreciate and teach each other that we are not against each other. We, you know, we are stronger together. And now that I'm beyond those youthful, I'm still youth. I consider myself youth, though I know they define by age, like 35-year youth. What happens to, you know, when you're beyond 35? I look at myself as youth. But so now to my youthful sisters, I just want to remind them that, you know, you have to understand that there's always that hand that is always there to hold you. And so where I am now, beyond, you know, the year 35, I'm stretching out my hand to those that are before me, but also stretching out my other arm to those that are behind me, to say, if I can use my story to inspire you, if I can use my platform of where I am, and I try not to define myself with the things that I've attained or the materialistic things that I am. I know people would often label us with the biographies and, you know, what you've done, the stages that you've been in, and so forth and so forth. But I always say, look at my village, look at the people that are around me. Look at those that helped me get to where I am today, and look at where I'm going. And, you know, I run an international organization where we work with so many women on so many issues. And wherever I travel around the world, I do not fail to share my story, that I was once a girl who left South Africa at 17 and ended up on the streets of New York City. And now I have that liberty because of a choice that I made, that when I get on the plane, I can freely walk the streets of Manhattan, when once in my life, it was exactly where I sat down without having a shelter. So, but at the end of the day, that journey was very much propelled by the women that were around me, but also because I permitted myself to accept that help because of the choices that I made. So ladies, I just want to encourage you, do not let your background, your circumstances, the things that you go through define you. Do not give up. Just keep trying and be open to the people that are around you. Know that you are not alone. We are definitely our ancestors' wildest dreams. I know they use that term a lot. And but where I sit here, I never thought I'll be on a Zoom call with so many phenomenal, amazing women today to share my story and to hear the many, many stories that are being shared today. But definitely, I'm so inspired. I feel so loved. Verlaine, thank you so much. And I'm here to learn. I'm here to suck it all in with every one of you. And, you know, we are stronger together. We are just going to blow the roof. The future is totally female, ladies. So I just want to encourage you with my journey and, you know, my challenges that I faced when I was growing up. But then I just want to leave you with this. Your choices, they definitely define where you are going, but do not let your circumstances define you. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cindy. That was absolutely powerful. Two things come to mind as I heard your story. You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice that you have. And then the second is you may not always end up where you thought you were going, but you'll always end up where you are meant to be. And for a time as this, you are meant to be where you are because we needed to hear your story. We need to hear your words. Thank you so much. And now, for those of you that came in earlier, you must have had some music playing. Actually, when I came in, I was like, I said, V, are you the one playing this music? Well, this music was being played for us by a lovely lady from South Sudan. She's called Ria Uyada. Ria, are you there? Ria?
I'm there. Hi, everyone.
Yes.
I'm so
Hi.
happy to see. I'm so happy to see all of you sisters. I don't know where to start from, but when Verlaine invited me for this, I almost said no because I am at a time in my life when I feel so tired. You can see it in my face, but having seen Cindy with the hot lipstick, I'm going to wear my lipstick because red lipstick gives me power.
Yes, it does. Wear that lipstick, girl.
Yeah, so I said yes because I felt like I needed this space of we just talk about everything and get power from each other. Verlaine, I send you healing. Thank you all for sharing your stories. I just kept on nodding my head and clapping and cheering, and I feel much better than when I joined. And yeah, before I start saying much, I just want to play for you this song by the world, and I hope you enjoy it. Just a second, a few seconds. Okay, I'm going, of course we run the world. Yeah, so as I said before, I'm at a point where I feel so tired. And all the time I am asked to speak, I always try to do some research, but I decided not to do much research about this and just let whatever comes out of my mouth come out. And when I saw a celebration of womanhood, and speaking about the journey to adulthood, I just related to myself and I asked myself, Ria, where are you going? Where are you coming from? I was reading on the definitions of adulthood, how it is in 3 stages, the early stage, the middle stage, and the late stage. And I'm like, some of us started our journey to adulthood when we were very young, you know. I am a South Sudanese. I left South Sudan when I was a child to go to Uganda because of the war. And it wasn't easy in Uganda, being with my mother and my sister, struggling, trying to look for food every day, going out to coffee companies, to clean companies with my mother just to put food on the table. I started my childhood and my adulthood at a very early age. And now I'm only 28 and I feel so tired. I mean, there's so many battles that we're fighting for. So for me, adulthood does not have a definition or a stage for a woman or a girl. So many of us as girls and women, we have started from as early as 5, as 8, as 9, and we are still going on. And Cindy is not going to stop even when you're 100. You'll still have that youthfulness in you, and your energy to still be there. So yeah, we will still be here to have this space and rant. I call it a ranting space as well. For me, adulthood is something that we should own as women, because we have defined adulthood for everyone in this world, and therefore we have to own it. I mean, one of the speakers shared about her mother. She celebrates her mother. You know, many of us are who we are because of the mothers, the grandmothers, the sisters who never gave up on us. You know, when mothers go out there, even when the fathers leave and they keep on putting food on the table, it means we have to celebrate them. But also we have to keep on borrowing strength from them so that we keep on refueling and getting strong, so that we carry on the same energy for the ones who will follow us. And when I say I got tired, at this point in my adulthood, I have become so vocal, speaking about women's rights, speaking against violence towards girls and women, so vocal against rape. I, for one, I have been a survivor of sexual violence. I went through rape when I was only 9 years old. And seeing girls right now as young as 4 years, as young as 8 years being raped, gang raped in my country, it breaks my heart and it makes me fight harder. But when I say I'm tired, I look back and I'm like, Ria, you shouldn't give up before nurturing and mentoring many people to take over what you're doing, you know. And so I say, even when I'm threatened, even when I'm intimidated to shut up, even when I am pushed to the wall to feel like I should pack my bags and go seek asylum somewhere, I ask myself, who have I mentored to take over? And I'm like, the journey is just starting, and the journey to adulthood is never going to stop. It's never going to end unless most of our younger ones, most of the women and the girls that we are fighting for are freed, you know? So for me, I don't want to speak much, but I want to say that we should use our adulthood to speak up for ourselves, to celebrate ourselves, to step back and look at who we are, where have we come from, where are we going, and what gives us power, you know. So this journey into adulthood is very difficult. So choose the sisterhood very strongly, you know, because you reach in a time when you are alone, you know. There is a time when you'll be called for the activism you're doing. There's a time you'll be thrown in jail. But who is that sister who is going to scream your name? Who is that woman who is going to say, who is going to bring for you food in prison when you're in prison? Who is that sister who is going to keep on shouting and giving you fuel to keep on going, to keep on re-energizing? And Verlaine, I thank you so much for this space. I feel the energy, I feel the sisterhood, and I'll just say, together we are stronger, and let these conversations keep on going. But our journey into adulthood is not defined by our age, but by how much we are doing and by our responsibility. So I'll call upon you all to always dance. I love dancing. I have a dream of starting a dance studio for survivors of sexual violence in South Sudan. So keep on dancing. I mean, we are in era of a revolution as women and girls. And so what is a revolution if we cannot dance? Thank you so much for organizing this.
Thank you so much, Shreya. Indeed, what is the role of the revolution if we cannot dance? And thank you for also sharing your story. We hear you and understand when you say you are tired, because we carry a lot. We carry with ourselves so much that we have to deal with and battle with every day. But we keep on going because, as you have said, there's still a lot of work to get done. Thank you so much. And now to end this segment, we're going to have Christelle Onwo, who is, I think, the Director of Social Work Unit and Lead Advisor for the African Diaspora Communities at the New York City Commission on Human Rights. Christelle, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Good
morning.
Good morning. Apologies, I was trying to eat something before getting on. I didn't realize my video was on, so I'm really sorry about that. But good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much to Zahara for putting this together. Thank you, especially to Verlaine, for restoring, faith in humanity in women like myself. Who I remember, I was at a point in my life where I sort of like gave up on, on the idea, of finding sisterhood. Let me say the idea of finding genuine sisterhood, because oftentimes, I kept coming across women, who oftentimes are supposed to elevating me, were putting me down. And I remember having a conversation with her, and then just listening to her own story, even though it wasn't that long, and it really inspired me. And from that moment on, I decided, to to look at my experiences through a positive lens. So I want to thank her, as well as honor her for that. So I know that today's topic is about the journey into adulthood. I have been doing research on this, how to figure out, what does adulthood means, right? And I came to the conclusion that, actually, adulthood is a journey, right? It's a journey, it's a lifelong journey that continues. It just never stops. Yes, scientists and social workers, like they base it on a certain age, but I think, it is something, that continues over time. And we have to, to just be fully aware of that. So just like just sitting down listening to everyone's story, and I was very touched by Cindy's story, because just like Cindy, I came to the US when I was 17 years old, right? Left Cameroon, um, in search of just like new life, had no idea where I was, going. I just knew that I was coming to New York, because I spoke English. Came, like was raised in a French, speaking home, but was the only one who was put in an English school. And so, like growing up, like it was very interesting, to see the dynamics, that were happening at home, right? And I actually, like when I look back, I actually think about the fact that, I actually had an amazing childhood, and had a lot, a very tough time in my adulthood, because of that transition, from Cameroon to New York City. And whenever I will hear people talk about, well, most Africans, come to the US, because there's so much war happening back home, and all these different negative, stereotypes, of the continent. I used to, just like ask myself, what are they talking about? Because I did not experience that, and so I think, that like my journey into, adulthood was a good awakening for me, because up until the age of 17, I felt very sheltered, living, at home with my parents, and just, like observing how my mom, who, I think I would dedicate this entire, talk to, it's a woman who has, continued, to like push us, my sisters and I, forward, just inspired us. She's a woman who, really, believed that, just because you have a family doesn't mean that you cannot pursue your own ambitions and goals. And also, watching my dad support her in everything that she wanted, to do in her life really inspired me, and inspired the woman that I am today. But then, going back, to my journey into adulthood, I remember, coming here when I was in high school and realizing that most kids, in New York City had no idea, of where Cameroon was, which I think is a typical story of most, people who live in the diaspora. And so, having to explain to them, where Cameroon was on the map, was very interesting. But then I also, realized that having a French accent, though I spoke English, right, was something, that would end up defining me, and defining a lot of my adulthood. And so, like going into, high school, and then going into college, with this French accent, and having, to like assert myself, and also, essentially, like tell the world that, I was as smart, I was as intelligent as everyone else, and also this whole idea of having to check boxes, supposed to be an African, and having to check boxes of being a Black woman was very confusing. And so I would say, like most of my adulthood, has been, like based on like this identity crisis that I would call, in terms of, having to define myself, whether I was either an African woman or a Black woman, which is something that I'm still struggling with a lot, because I remember being in Cameroon, just being a human being. Now I have to figure out, whether I'm Black or African or Cameroonian, whichever one, like society, like chooses, wants for me. And so I have, like I remember making the decision at the age of 24 when I was in graduate school, that I was no longer going to perm my hair, because I had this, notion that, natural beauty, right, especially in America, it's about, having your hair all the way down and not having natural hair. And so, I remember, finding, like making this determination and decision, to essentially go natural, and just embrace, myself, like wear African outfit, and once I started doing that, I began to discover who I really was, right? I was, yes, young woman who, oftentimes, did not want to be in spaces, where my voice was silenced. Like I knew that I had a lot to contribute to the world through my experiences, and so I felt like I had to accept myself first before anyone else can accept me. And so, like deciding, to go naturally, deciding, to embrace, my Africanness was something that allowed me, to increase my own confidence. And then I will also say, that as a young immigrant, I don't think that I would be where I am today if not for the mentors and the many, women who have supported me along the way. I've had mentors, from college, who I have kept in touch with up until this day, who, I essentially reach out to whenever I need help, whenever I need assistance. They saw something in me that I did not see in myself, and they have continued, to push me forward. And so, my advice, to other young women, it's always, to find, women who, whenever you are at your lowest point, they will tell you, that you're amazing. They will keep pushing you, right? That is the kind of sisterhood that you need to have, right? Because oftentimes, life, can be very rough. If you're an immigrant coming to this nation, with no father, no mother, no one to guide you through the process. So definitely, finding a type of women who can encourage you to keep going is very important. And also, like just thinking about, my journey, of also wanting to be a lawyer, which is something that I heard, at a very young age, because I always believe in the notion of justice, and believe in the notion that, just because I am a woman, that doesn't make me less than. I remember, when I was growing up, my mom used to tell me, you are a woman and a man at the same time, so you can do anything else that men can do, right? So she had me, cleaning, the house, my dad's car, everything, because I did not have, any borders. So therefore, I had to do everything. And so growing up, with that mentality, and realizing that I was enough, was so important. And I thank my mom so much, for instilling that in me. Now I go into spaces where, like, I said, whatever, a man can do, I can do 100 times better, right? Because, at a very young age, that was instilled in me. And also just realizing how much value my dad placed, in ensuring that I got an education. He went above and beyond, to ensure that, I got the education, that I needed. Even if, it meant, taking a loan, he would do that. And so just, observing that, and seeing how much, important I was to my parents, definitely motivated me and instilled a lot of confidence in me. And so, like my experience growing up in New York City, also instilled me. Instilled in me the need to advocate for other African women. And so I remember, having to work for South Seattle, which is a Center for African Women and Families, doing domestic violence work, and then realizing that there was such a need in New York City, for a space for African women, to come together to talk about the different gender-based issues that they were facing with. Oftentimes, when we talk about gender-based issues, we often talk about domestic violence, right? But then, in the African context, it is so much more. It can be, childlessness. It can be, issues that a woman has, because her in-laws, might not accept her. Right? So there are so many variety of different issues, that come up when we talk about gender-based violence. So I was just, very inspired by that, and then ended up, working for the city of New York now, or the Commission on Human Rights, where again I saw, the lack of, of a voice for the African community. And so, I started, doing outreach there, and that's currently what I'm doing now. But my experience has been both positive and negative. I've had men come to me and tell me, well, we see you everywhere. You're always advocating, you're running all over New York City. Who's taking care of your husband? Who's taking care of your kids? And and though that is a shock, that actually motivates me to, to keep going. Because, like, I am the kind of person that if you want to challenge me, I'm going to put in my 200%, right? And make sure that I get the work done. And so having other African men come to me, with those type of comments, have actually motivated me. But it's also very sad because I know that, like other African men doing the same work that I do, don't get that type of, of reaction. They are not being asked, well, who's taking care of your wife, your kids, right? But because I'm a woman, right? And then an African woman at that, like how dare I enter into this space, and try to advocate, for other women. So again, like I am so so grateful to be a part of this amazing panel. Like I hope we have like more spaces like this, because it is so important for us to share our stories. Because if we don't share our stories, someone else will share it in their own way. And so as we continue to share our stories, as we continue to elevate each other, this is how we go. This is how we can create a better future, for our children as well as for those who are coming after us. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Christelle. That was really, really powerful. Thank you for honoring your parents, but also I totally understand when we now have to think about, am I African? Am I Black? What am I? And I know it's quite confusing, but first and foremost, we are women and we're very powerful at that. Thank you so much. Now we are 20 minutes behind. We have our next panel of, how many are they? They are 4. So we have to be really quick. Dr. Musonda Mumba, who is the Chief Terrestrial Ecosystems Unit, who is the Chief at the Terrestrial Ecosystems Unit at the UN Environment, or UNEP. She is from Kenya. Dr. Mumba, I saw you in the comments cheering on everyone and telling them to dance. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, please talk to us. Unfortunately, you only have 5 minutes.
Yes, I'll be very quick. Actually, I'm originally Zambian and I have dual heritage, Zambian and South Africa. Thank you so much. I mean, just listening to all these women, I'm just blown away. From Malia, Ria, Chris. I mean, you guys are just beyond. And here's what I can tell you. I'm closer to 50 than I am to 21. But what I can say is that with life experience of having navigated my womanhood and my being in living and across three different continents, it's been wonderful and it's been amazing. Why? Because of my She Village, I have been very purposeful and deliberate about identifying and picking these women to be my support system and I for them. And so here's what I would say, and just listening to what Mattia said, in terms of loving of self, the choices we make. And Verla, thank you. Thank you for curating this space and for curating and bringing together these amazing women and these amazing voices. My She Village has been incredibly wonderful. I live in Nairobi. I'm raising 2 beautiful earthlings, 8 and 5. And I've just had a beautiful network of sisters who look out for me, traveled for work, or when I've been away from Nairobi, cheering on and taking care of me. When I'm in a transition of dealing with my mental health, either work or personal, my sisters have come in, and as many people know and have seen pictures, normally when I moderate, I wear red because a woman friend of mine just told me, can you please stop wearing black and just start wearing red because you're powerful in red. And I was so in awe on just listening to you. And one of the things I did in celebrating International Women's Day this year is I did a solo trip to Zanzibar, my first ever solo trip, believe it or not. I was in this beautiful boutique hotel watching the sunset and the sunrise, walking on the beach alone, dining me, lunching me, taking care of me. And when we learn to take care of self and love self, that's what matters so fundamentally. And it's this She Village that has helped me think through, take care of your body, exercise, eat well. And here we are in a pandemic world, guys. And it's these women around me that have been my support system on understanding protocols, understanding how to take care of self, and also my community. So what I can say is, you are in good hands. Trust your instinct and trust. those women that look up for you and are positive for you. And let's stay connected. And I'm so excited. Verma, thank you so much for curating this. Over to you, Ruth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mumba. That was really powerful. Self-care is really, really important. And I attest to that. I've been trying to keep myself taken care of. I do things every day deliberately to take care of myself. Now we have Diaka Kamara, who is a TV host and content creator. Diaka, are you there? Hello, Diaka. I don't think we have Diaka with us. Lisa Marie Mitak, are you there? So that just in case Diaka.
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. So you can take up this time slot, please.
Okay. Hi, hello everyone. Good morning, I guess, good evening, good night, wherever you are joining us from across the world. I'm based here in London, so it's early evening. It's been so wonderful listening to everyone. I've really learned so much, and I feel so incredibly inspired. So thank you, Verlaine, for creating this platform where across generations we can come together and share our own experiences. And I think listening to everyone, there's a common theme that's emerged of using our voice and also choice. And I think using our voices and sharing our stories is so incredibly important, because it's when we speak and share, we realize that there's a common thread that weaves between all of us, and that helps to unify and inspire us more. So, and there's strength in unity. So when we hear from others, it helps to empower us. And it also allows us to believe that we can also achieve what we might seem or deem to be impossible. And as it was mentioned just before, this year in particular has seen us all experience many challenges in varying degrees, from how we navigate what this new norm is to coincide with our work, our personal and social lives. It's been challenging for all of us. And I believe that this also kind of this type of work-life balance and looking at womanhood as well falls into this notion that many of us feel that we have to be able to do it all, and we have to be able to manage it all and do it well as well. So it's nice hearing people's stories and people being able to just feel free enough to share some of the challenges that they've also experienced in their own lives. And this leads me on to, I think, one of the biggest opportunities that we have as women and young women as well, is to not let age define who we are. I think that for many of us, we feel as though that this society gives us, there's many stigmas attached that by a certain age you're supposed to get married, or you're supposed to have your house, or you're supposed to have your child. But I think those types of things really limit us on our own journeys and kind of narrow our lanes. So I think it's important for us to not have any types of age limits on things, because many people I speak with and interact with feel as though that they're behind, but behind compared to who? You know, so I think not letting age define us is incredibly important. And what I think womanhood means to me is owning your agency and knowing that you and you alone are the captain of your life, and that you are the one that steers your life in its own direction. And this ties into many of what people are saying in terms of talking about choice, that as a woman you have the choice to choose what you do with and how you shape your reality. And in my own personal journey into womanhood and adulthood, I think it's about having confidence to be you wholly and be you to the best that you can be, and to not compare ourselves to others. I think that each and every one of us has our own lane. And I see it like a racetrack where everyone's lined up and you're focused on the finish line, and you're looking ahead. You can see where the track kind of bends slightly. The person's on the side about to blow the whistle, but in your head you're focused on what you need to do to get to the finish line, and whether you need to pace up or slow down. But it's like you start that race and you're so focused on what someone's doing to the left of you and how they might be moving ahead or what they're doing, that you lose focus of your own lane, and you lose focus of what's in front of you and the obstacles that are in front of you. And I think it's so important that we just focus on our own lanes and draw on inspirations from others. But the most important thing is knowing that it's you and you alone have your story, and that's where your power lies. And it's in us focusing on ourselves and focusing on what we want to achieve. Because a lot of the time when I speak with people, and this goes back to age as well, you feel as though someone else is more ahead of you, or someone's doing something that you wish you could do. I think we should just take bits and pieces of what we see other people are doing and then shape that into our own realities, because no one has your story. No one has gone through the things that you've gone through. We all go through trials and tribulations, but it's about how you overcome those things. I think as well, if I look at becoming more myself, it's really about, it goes back to confidence, and it goes back to believing in my own ability. And a lot of the time, many of us might not have cheerleaders that cheer us on. So it's really about being your own cheerleader and cheering yourself on and giving yourself a pat on the back when you do something, and not diminishing things that we do. Sometimes I find as women, we might achieve things, but we're just like, okay, or we don't really accept compliments. So I think cheer yourself on, pat yourself on the back, know that you're doing the best that you can do, as we all are, and be the inspiration for yourself. Push yourself, let your desire for passion build you up. And I'll end on saying that it's about trusting in your own abilities, and not what society says that you should do. And this is how I've shaped my life, and this is how I'm going forward, is really just believing in yourself, knowing that you're enough, knowing that you were enough yesterday, you're enough today, and you'll be enough tomorrow. And lastly, I just want to add is imposter syndrome really quickly. Many people I speak with feel as though opportunities that might come their way, that they're not qualified or they're not ready for. If something does come your way, take it and do and try. You know, that's just always, if even creating your opportunities. And this goes back to what another woman was saying about asking for a pay rise and not thinking or sure enough if she should ask the amount. Push yourself out there and create your own reality. The worst you can get is no, and then you just navigate from that and try again and knock somewhere else. So believe in your own abilities and know that you are enough. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa Marie. Thank you. You have the choice to choose what you do, and you shape your reality. You create your reality. Your reality. That is what I'm taking from that. Thank you very much. Now, I still need to find out if Kamara has come online. If she has not, then we will go to our last speaker, Setu Otara. I don't know if any of these are here.
Yes, Aini, this is V. Thank you so much. I saw Setu
Yes.
and Diaka too. I think perhaps her sister is muted, but we'll try to make sure that she comes in. Thank you so much.
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Okay, we can hear
I've been here,
you.
I've been following.
We need to see you. We can hear you, but we cannot see you yet.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi.
Okay, so can we have Kamara first? Is that okay?
Yes. She can go ahead. That's fine. I can wait. You can have her. That's fine. I'll wait. This is what sisterhood is all about, so I can wait.
All right then. So, Setu, let's start with you. We have 5 minutes. Just talk to us about your life journey on cherishing womanhood as a woman rights activist, please.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think that this is wonderful, and it's just great being with all of you sisters from across the world. I think that we have been silent for so long that it gives me so much joy for all of us to be here today, using our voices to speak our truth, to inspire, to educate, to celebrate, and to hold one another. I think holding one another is really important because, you know, there's like so much that we have to face on a daily basis that having a network of support is, you know, it's how you get through everything. So it's just been, amazing to hear from all the wonderful sisters who went before me. There's been a lot said about finding your voice, and I think it's because it's just really important. Some people might find your voice at, I don't know, 15. Some might find it at 20. Some might even find it at 40. That's okay. I think you just have to just kind of challenge yourself to keep looking for it until you find it, because when you do, it's liberating. It really is. It opens up, a world of, opportunities that you maybe didn't even think, were there for you. So for me, womanhood is really, it's been a journey. It's like, Nabu said in the opening remarks, it's a journey full of ups and downs, a lot of twists and turns. But we just have to keep on going. It's a journey where you're really kind of like, looking to discover yourself, to reimagine yourself, giving yourself permission to take a break along the way, to recharge, to come back, to figure out, what's happening now in my life, what's going well, what are the small successes that I can really celebrate, what are the small things I can find joy in, and keep on going, right? And the other piece is really about embracing your own individuality, right? Because we, at times, we live in a world where, especially for us women and for girls, right, we live in a world where social contracts have already been defined in terms of how we should be, how we should, dress, how we should carry ourselves, how much, weight we should put on or not, right? And so it makes it really hard to embrace your own individuality, to embrace, your own strength, and even to be able to identify that. And once you do that, I think you start to feel, a lot better about yourself and what you actually bring to the table, because we all have something to bring to the table. You might not know it yet, but you have it, because there's so much distraction around us in terms of, how we should be, that we sometimes forget to look at, okay, this is actually what I have, and this is what I want to celebrate for myself. I think the other piece is really, we talk a lot also about choices, making choices. I think every conscious choice that we make for ourselves at any given day, it's an opportunity that you're giving yourself to really build that life that you want for yourself, build that future that you imagine for yourself. I make a choice to wear my colorful African clothes to work. That's the choice that I make, because again, I want to embrace my culture. I want to embrace my identity. At the same time, this is also me speaking my truth. I make the choice to bring my, homemade, lunch to work. It might not smell like the, peanut butter jelly sandwich. That's, I don't know, but that's my food, and I should be able to eat my food and feel okay with that. But being in a place where you feel comfortable enough to own up to those choices, that's a journey that takes time, because it calls for confidence, and sometimes we might not feel like we have that confidence to be able to make our own choices. So we tend to kind of like try to fit in, so it's less uncomfortable, right? Because making choices, speaking your truth, and using your voice, it can be uncomfortable. But that's the growth that that we all aspire to get to. And for me, really, every day I feel like it's a miracle my life is a miracle. It's a miracle that I'm here. And I'm sure a lot of people can feel the same way. I've heard stories of struggle, of challenges, of, adversities that a lot of sisters have had to overcome to be where they are today. It just speaks to the courage, to the resiliency that, we all have within us. And taking time to celebrate that, I think that's important, and that's amazing. I'm a manager in a government, setting where, the first few months, people will look at me like, oh, are you here, I don't know, to accompany somebody else to this meeting, or are you really the person who's in charge of this meeting, right? And it's really, it's really those microaggressions that you have to figure out, okay, I'm just not gonna smile and be polite about it. You gotta address it, right? It's also the intersectionality for us here living in the United States, being, immigrants, from Africa, right? We have that intersectionality of, being women, of being women of color, of being in spaces that are usually taken up by, by white people, where people feel like, maybe we don't belong. So at any given time, you're really navigating a lot of, challenges, where you need to figure out a way, like someone said, where is my lane, and how can I celebrate myself in this lane and be me, and do what's important to me, redefining kind of yourself. So I really try to remind myself every day to do that, celebrate those small successes, and really use my voice and my platform to make sure that, yes, I'm the only person of color here today. How can I make sure that I'm not the last one, right? So it's almost like, it's almost like really, fighting the fight for others to come, after you. So I'm really just glad to be here with all of you today, and thank you everyone for sharing your stories. I think it's powerful. We're always stronger when we come together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Indeed, we're always stronger when we come together. And now we have the last speaker, who is Diaka Kamara, a TV host and content creator. Kamara,
hello.
Please talk to us about cherishing womanhood. We need to see you though. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, everyone. And first of all, I want to thank all the women that came before me. They had very powerful things to say. To me, when I talk about, first of all, my journey into womanhood, I would say it has been a learning process for me. And as I look back on it, even let's say the bad moments, I wouldn't want to change anything, because all of these are things that contributed into making me the person, the woman that I am today. And to me, womanhood means owning who you are, being your authentic self, and without any apology, and being fearless. I live in a country, which is Guinea, which is in West Africa, where society has a certain image of what a woman should be. Here, womanhood is more defined with being married and a wife and a mother. And so to me, entering into womanhood is like you find your courage, you find your voice, and you tell yourself that you refuse to change your dreams, or renegotiate your dreams in order to fit into this mold that society has created for you. And many of the challenges that we face as we enter into womanhood, because being a woman also means taking responsibility for your action, and taking a stand, for what you believe in. And the challenges that I particularly face when in Guinea are, I think, the same challenges that that women face everywhere. The limited opportunities, the being taken seriously, especially when you go into meetings. The first thing they do is look at you first, and you know, and it's difficult for them to take you seriously, for them to listen to what you have to say, and then you have to push, you have to push, you have to push for them to understand, okay, she is serious about her business, she's serious about what she wants to do, so we have to listen, because anything else is not happening. So and I want, and as a woman, it's important that we found our voices, because I always say that when a woman speaks up, she's not only speaking up for herself, but she's speaking up for all these women and little girls around the world, you know, and we have to understand that as women, our voices are so powerful, and then we can change the world through all these conversations that we are having. And I'm a very, one of my fights are really is gender-based violence, whether it is child brides, excision of domestic violence, rape, harassment, and to me, and when you are in African societies like ours, you have a target on your back, because they see you as the one who grew up elsewhere overseas and wants to come and corrupt our young girls and our women. And it's important, and that's why I always say the people who are, I hate to say victims of these practices, because to me they're not victims, they're survivors. I always tell them, you are a survivor and your voice is important, because as long as you have people that are supporting these horrible practices, you have to have people that have to speak up for those who have suffered through these practices and say, you know what, I am a woman, this is my body, this is what I have endured, and it needs to stop. So it's important as we enter womanhood, and I saw all the younger sisters that came before us, as we enter womanhood, to really to be more even firmer in your beliefs, and to stand your ground. It's going to be very difficult. Sometimes you might even be standing by yourself out there, but it's important to stand your ground. It's important to have your voice and to voice your opinion, because you never know, your voice, what you say, might just inspire someone else somewhere to change whatever situation that they are in. And why I like the Zahara dream, the Zahara's dream, and the Be You Powerfully movement, is because it really celebrates sisterhood, you know, and it creates this community where we are here for each other, we are here to support and uplift and guide each other, where women are like, we are beacon of light and hope for other women, because at the end of the day, people are suffering throughout the world, you know, and it might just be something that you said that can save or change someone's life. So once again, I believe that when you enter into womanhood, you really enter into the person you are. And speaking about being fearless, it's important, because I believe it was Oprah Winfrey who said that whatever you fear the most has no power. It is your fear that controls you, that has the power. So we have to let go of our fear, and we have to tell ourselves that we can achieve anything we put our mind to it, you know, and we have to refuse to be put into a box. We have to refuse to let other people decide for us as women where we should be, what we should do, how we should speak, and what we should defend. You know, we need to own our voices. We need to own our voices, and we need to have these conversations, because it's conversation that affect change. And I hope that all these people that have joined into this this celebration today take something away, because I don't know about everyone else, but I know that I have learned a lot from everyone that I have listened to today. And some of the things that I've heard and learned, I'm gonna take it back, you know, here to Guinea, and trying to implement those things. So the conversation is important. Our voices need to be here. We represent half of the population. in the world. So that means something. And I also really want to put an accent on the sisterhood. Women needs to support women. It's important. We already have so many things stacked against us. That's why as sisters, we need to be there to defend each other, to promote each other. I have a large following on social media. So I like to always promote women entrepreneurs or women doing extraordinary things in Guinea, and there are so many of them. There are so many of them. So I like to use my platform. I don't even know them. I will write them a message. I will look them up and be like, come on, let's do this. Let's put this up. Let's talk about you, or even create content, because like you said earlier, I'm a content creator. So I like to create content that you know, that empowers women, that shed lights on everything women are accomplishing in Guinea and all over the world, because once again, we are all connected as women. The fact that we are already women, we are connected. That connects us at such a deeper level, you know. And so, to all the sisters connected here today, let's link up some more. Let's create some more things, because once again, the only boundaries and the only limits we will ever encounter are the limits that we set ourselves. You know, otherwise the sky is a limit. And let's face it, we are women, we are superheroes, we are the real superheroes of this world, you know, not what you see in the comic books, but we are superheroes, especially women. I mean, we are the breadwinners, we are the caretakers, we take care of everything. No matter what the problem, we always try to find solutions. So yes, we are the superheroes. So I celebrate everyone, all the women that are here today and those are not here. And I hope that these messages, everything that we shared here, will be able to reach those who truly needed to hear what we exchanged, what we talked about here. So to the young girls, you know, I can't wait for you guys to make it into womanhood. It's not gonna be easy, but it's worth it. It's a journey well worth it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Diaka. What a brilliant way to end this. I was looking at the comments and someone was saying, preach. So all I have to say is amen and amen. And just before I hand over to V, I just wanted to remind us that just like Diaka was saying, sometimes we forget how much we can inspire each other. And the thing about it is that no one understands us like we understand ourselves. So we need to reach out more to each other, embrace each other. And I've seen so many of us in the comments saying this has been very uplifting. And you know what, ladies, I am giving you the freedom, the permission to be happy. You are amazing, you are unique and beautiful. There's nothing more that you need to do or have in order to be happy. So you are perfect just as you are. So smile, give love and enjoy every moment of this precious life. Even as we're in the lockdown and in quarantine and we have so much going on around us, give yourself permission to be happy and to smile. Over to you, V.
I was behind, I was thinking, woo! The fire! The fire that our sister Diaka just brought at the end. You know, this is the type of fire that really, like the balloon, you know, the balloon needs the fire to go up in the sky. That's exactly what I also personally needed now. And, you know, listening to all our sisters who spoke before and you, Ruth, I want to say thank you, because, you know, I shared, you know, going through a bit of a health challenge right now, but yesterday I called you late night and I said, my sister, please, can you come in? And I know I said it at the beginning, but the only answer that Aini gave me was, I've got you, you know, and I think this is really what came out from the discussions. And, you know, I love what everybody said, that we're inspired by each other, that, you know, we all take our journeys and experiences and really soak it in, you know, learning and feeling and, you know, recognizing the pains and the challenges. And, you know, Diaka, you mentioned suffering, because we're suffering. It's a difficult time. But being able to come together, you know, today without titles, without any of those layers that, you know, society define us with, and really on the basics, you know, 101, being women. And it doesn't matter if you're a young woman or if you're an older woman, if you're, you know, 20 or 50, the most important is that we can connect. So really, I want to say thank you to really all our sisters, to everyone who participated, not only as speakers, but also in the chat box on Twitter. I saw there was a lot going on, and it's refreshing and it's empowering, particularly, you know, when you're going through some challenges. I have to say, this gave me fire. My body is weak, but I was on the chair moving. All right, a bit of seriousness, but we say it's a celebration, so we're gonna celebrate. So I have to be honest, I made a little text. I wrote a bit of some of my thoughts this morning. So for the conclusion, so allow me to give you that before we say goodbye. It's always difficult to say goodbye, particularly when, you know, we connect on that level and we're able to exchange and share some of our stories. You know, a lot of sisters we have, we smile, we hold each other's hands, and, you know, we carry on. But a lot of us are going through a lot of challenges, and it's not easy sometimes to just open up and speak. And I loved what Juliana said at the beginning. She said, I love to speak. And, you know, I share my story and I speak up, and it's a power, you know, and sometimes we don't have that power. Sometimes it's not that we don't have it, it's how do you build it up, you know? And I think it's important for us as women to have this space that is, you know, stripped of any of, you know, external layers that would define, or, you know, we define that space. And I think today we did beautiful, and I'm so inspired and I'm fired up, although I'll go back to bed after that. And I know Ria will put the good Dombolo music to dance off. I'll dance in my bed right there. But to close, yeah, I shared, you know, I think we're coming together today as sisters from across the world. We have our sisters who are in Africa, in Europe. We have sisters in the US and myself here. I know some young women connected from Brazil today. So to tell you that, you know, as young women, and particularly as African women, because we're mostly African women, our voices and our stories go beyond Africa. It's a universal story. It's the story of womanhood and entering into this world, you know. And I think looking at that, at how we're all connecting today across the world, and beyond physical and metaphysical, you know, barriers, we realize very quickly that most of the barriers that we see, and particularly in the current context, we're talking a lot about, you know, the double pandemics, racism. If you're Black, you know what it is to be Black since childhood. You know, there's not really surreal barriers if we are able to remove themselves. And as Maya Angelou said, being a cloud into somebody else's sky, you know, regardless of what the person looks like, regardless of what the gender of the person is, regardless of their sexuality, of their religious orientation, if we can just go back to the basics and understanding that as humans, we share the same common denominator, and thus we can understand and be understood, you know, together. So looking at that, I think, as I mentioned, you know, we have the most important reason why we're connecting today is really through the power of love, through the power of light, and through the power of understanding, you know, understanding that we're one, that our lives are interconnected beyond the walls that we see, beyond any challenges that we can even imagine. You know, it was very powerful, just to jump in quickly, for me to hear even about our sister Cindy's story, you know, being in New York, living for love, and then finding yourself in other countries, live alone other cities. You live and you go into other countries. You know, it's a difficult story. Myself, I remember when I came here, I unfortunately was homeless too in New York. And for instance, that's not something I knew about my sister. And now knowing that we share this unfortunate common story of surviving and thriving and trying to get to the next level, you know, I think we can all learn from each other. And that's what this moment was about, really reconnecting and understanding that our lives are interconnected beyond what we can even see, beyond any internal or external factors that we might believe, you know, to be true. So the power of sisterhood, you know, we all talked about it today, the power of coming together. And I really, again, want to thank all our sisters, of course, Naboo Fall, our power opening. Naboo, I came to our sister Naboo a few months ago after I turned 30 last January, and I said, Nabu, I want to launch something that's called Zahara Stream, and Zahara is on the call also. Zahara was my intern. She worked closely with me at the African Union Mission to the UN in New York, and she was from Mali. And before she left, I had, I mean, you can go on the website and see the story in details, but I struggled myself, on my journey, and I had saved so much money to buy my first office suit, to work in an environment. You have to fit the costume, as we said. Working at the UN, so I had to say I had worked, saved money, waited for the sales at Bloomingdale's. I know we're not supposed to mention stores, but went and bought myself a nice suit and wore it for about 2 years. And then when Zahara was going back to Mali, I offered her this suit, and she sent me a picture, a few months ago. She was attending a regional meeting, and I'm sure she's here on the call. Perhaps she can talk afterwards, but she was attending a regional meeting, and she wore the suit and sent me a picture, and she said, oh, V, look at that. And the suit fitted her so perfectly. I was very skinny when I started, maybe size 34. So she entered into it like a glove, and I thought that was beautiful. And so, I grew. This happened in 2017, and things happened. I was lucky to work on an amazing initiative bringing women together, and many of the sisters on the call today are part of this initiative called the AWLN. And of course, I turned 30 this year, actually 6 months ago today on January 22nd. And when I turned 30, it's very difficult. I like what all the sisters have mentioned, the journey, the challenges. You don't get a roadmap. Nobody tells you this is going to be difficult. You're going to have challenges. You're going to get hurt. It's going to scratch. You're going to bleed. And I remember actually our sister, Dr. Musonda, once hosted our BU Powerfully talk on healing. And she said something very powerful. She said that if you're bleeding, if you don't heal the cut and the pain that someone puts you, you're going to start bleeding on people around you. And really, this is something that as women, we bleed every day. We bleed every day in a physical way. We have periods, but we also bleed in the imagery of what this means. We get attacked for just being, for just breathing, for aspiring, for being ambitious. Be careful of using the word ambitious, because this can be seen and understood as nasty. A woman who's ambitious is not a woman. For having dreams and making sure, as Atiya has mentioned, not living them in the backyard of your heart, but really looking at how to make them happen. And yeah, entered my 30th year this year, and felt that it was challenging, a long journey, but I wanted to give back, as the sister Ria has mentioned, this desire to make sure that we give back around us. And I called her sister Nabu and said, Nabu, I have something I would like to share. It's called Zahara's Dream, etc., etc. And came up very strongly. And that's why, again, the power of sisterhood. She made a video, sent it to me, said, do you like it? Should we post it on Twitter? And then, we built a website, and we did that, and we did that. And I think the reason why, we're all here today, as I mentioned at the beginning, is really believing in this power of sisterhood beyond, any externalities that might seek to divide us. And I love what even Crystal said. It can take time to find your squad, if I can say that this way, because unfortunately the world shapes us to think that it's a zero-sum game, that the space is limited, that if my sister wins, I'm going to lose, and if she gets it, I'm not going to get it. And I get sick and tired of witnessing that, of seeing that, the victim of that. And I have to be frank, myself, younger age, having practiced it, because you don't know better, but you learn and you grow and you understand that the only way for us to move forward is to be together. And this is what Zahara's Dream is about, is really understanding and seeking to be the highest and the truest and then the best versions of ourselves, the way that we decide to be, and to center really love and light and sisterhood, and making sure that we go beyond whatever tries to keep us apart. So this is what it is about. So again, I want to thank our sister Nabu for believing in this initiative and for supporting every day when I send text messages, you know, and seeking a guidance, and all the sisters who were here today, Boholo for the power opening, of course, Amy, who's been the MC, Malia, thank you for coming and sharing your story, Juliana, Wanjui, Atiya, Cindy, Ria, Christelle, Diaka, Lisa Marie, Dr. Musonda, Setu. I want to take the time to say your names because you have shared a piece of yourself, which is a piece of your story, which becomes a piece of our own stories. You know, through your journeys, we have our own journey inscribed. So I think I mentioned it before, when we all die, we will die with a piece of you. So power forward now. I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet. I know we have 1 hour of celebration and DJ Ria is waiting behind. To put the music back on, but power forward is about, you know, where do we go from now, you know, in terms of for us as young women and as women across age and, you know, through Zahara stream. Next month, it's going to be 53 years since Dr. Martin Luther King stood in Atlanta, in Georgia. It was in 1967, and he was there, still alive and standing. And he actually asked the question, you know, the civil rights movement came together, and they were at the midst of, you know, looking at the achievements they had made since the early 60s, since the late 50s and early 60s, but really looking at where do we go from now? You know, we have been able to secure a bit of achievements, but there's still so much to do, you know, and I think in your lifetime, we cannot complete the journey. You know, it's really passing the torch from one generation or the generation next to us, you know, but where do we go from now? And I think when we're looking at this, for us is to really go deep into the challenges. You know, we're all sitting home, and I think we all have now the last name Zoom because we've spent so much time on Zoom. We can all add Zoom to our last names, but really serious challenges, you know, as humanity. You know, the pandemics is one, and of course the racial one. You know, this is not something that we can shut down. And you know, some of our sisters, Christelle mentioned being a human being in Cameroon and then coming to America and having to reconcile, am I a human being, am I African, am I African American, and sharing this story of, you know, of understanding that our world is suffering and that we are suffering. You know, I am suffering as a Black woman living in New York. It hurts to watch TV every day and see people who look like me being killed, you know, without sense for humanity. And then it hurts to look at back home the rate of young women being, you know, trapped home and raped. So we have pandemics that have really intensified, and this moment for us is almost like a bubble, you know, a small bubble coming together and really celebrating us, but some of the many challenges that we've been through, you know. And Ria talked about rape, Cindy talked about homelessness, Atiya showed the example of her auntie who had to go through patriarchal challenges. The two talked about, you know, fitting into her own environment and, you know, making sure that we thrive. And so as we gather today, I really want us to take this necessary, it's not even, you know, an option, it's necessary, it's an urgency for us to celebrate our lives. As Setu said at the beginning, every woman that you see walking is a miracle. Because for her to be the person that she is, she had to go through a lot of shit. And sorry to put it bluntly, but we had to go through a lot of shit. And then you have to add, and sorry, excuse my French, francophone, sorry, but you know, but to add to that, now being a Black woman in a world that is not, you know, shaped and defined for you to partake in it, it's even more. You know, it's a crime to our very own existence. So us being here, you know, is a miracle. But there is, you know, as I mentioned before, I'm gonna go very quickly into the end. Of course, we're all rising, but going forward for us is looking at how do we continue. You know, Zahara Stream was founded, I mentioned it, from the love and solidarity I shared and Zahara shared with me earlier on, but also, you know, through a journey, the challenges and the difficulty to be able to have access to opportunity. So where do we go from now? From now, we're looking at how do we build opportunity, access. Something that I have also unfortunately learned is that access and opportunity are, you know, boxed into a small box and not everyone gets to look at it. We always say talent is equally distributed, opportunity is not. If I did not have a lot of people around me, my parents, my mother, my father, who had planted the seed early on for me to believe in myself, I wouldn't be able to be here, you know, to have access to opportunity. So opportunity the beginning at the root of all that is needed to do. So where do we go forward also? Where do we go from now? We're going forward. As you know, we have the Sisters Keepers mentoring action. We have over 90 young women and actually every mentors and mentees, most of them were on the call today. So it's really looking at how do we learn from each other as sisters. You know, it doesn't need to be you know, big stuff. I learned from Aini, I learned from Situ, and we learn from each other. It's really about how can you be a light into your sister's life. I think this is really what this is about. And the last point is, of course, the confidence. We talked a lot about, you know, the lack of confidence, because the world, unfortunately, is built in a way to try to put in our head. I remember early on in my career, although I'm not, you know, too long in my career, but still, someone told me, and it hurt very deeply, you know, and you're too much, you're too this and you're too that. Look at this woman on the other side, you should be more like her, she's quiet and she doesn't talk, you love to talk too much. And as Juliana said, for me, speaking was my power, because, you know, silent for so long, and having and the person he was also a woman, and, you know, it hurts to face the stage. And as I went through my career, I have to be frank and honest, and I think this is something that was mentioned during the talk, but I wanted to be out again, is most of the time when I started my career, maybe from access to opportunities and other, most of the challenges that I had encountered early on, unfortunately, came from women. And I think it came from women who are not comfortable with themselves, who probably, I don't want to speak for that, but the pain that they were carrying on themselves could be seen. And I think if you don't take the time to pamper and heal some of the pains that the world is going to put you through, you will, you know, you will, as Dr. Musonda said, you will bleed on everyone else around you. And having received this pain, I had to be intentional as a sister concert. Dr. Musonda said, we have to be intentional in building this solidarity and having our sisters around ourselves, because this is the only way forward. And so this is what the way forward for Zahara Stream is about, is really continuing to be intentional, to support each other beyond, you know, beyond background, beyond titles, beyond any of that, because in the end, that doesn't mean anything. The only power that we have left at this point in our life as humans, when we see how things are going, is to be a light to someone else, to the person that's sitting next to you. You know, we have two hands, and if I give my two hands to two people next to me, and these two people give their hands, you build a solidarity chain that will be unbreakable. And I think this is what this is about, and this is what Power Forward is about, is making sure that we keep this solidarity chain on, you know, that we stand up for each other, that as Ria, I loved what she said, when you're in prison, when you're on your knees, you need to find that sister that's going to bring you back up. So I think to close that, you know, I want to give those last words, you know, just be you powerfully. There's nothing more hurtful and sad and, you know, than to go through life not being you. You know, life is too short to not be you, to not chase your dreams, to not aspire to be and to do and to achieve the highest version of the dreams that you have, you know, because you are what you think and you become what you think. So you have to set the bar really high for yourself. I think those are the last words I would like to give. And we have entered, you know, the summer 2020 celebration. So I guess one commitment I would like to ask all the sisters to have as you continue through the summer, every day, remind yourself of one reason why, you know, you're celebrating yourself. May it be you've succeeded something you've done, you know, you've been a light to another sister, anything, you know, celebrate yourself, because it's going to start with you. You know, the world is not going to give it on a plate. As a matter of fact, you have to take it. So I wish you all, my sisters, really a beautiful summer 2020. Thank you so much. Be you, be you, be you powerfully. Everyone else anyway is taken. There's no need to be someone else. And I give the floor back to our sister Aini. Thank you so much. And now we have the celebration. So DJ Ria, we expect you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much, V. Thank you for building this platform. Thank you for encouraging us. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for allowing us to be. DJ Ria, are you there? So the idea is that we are going to be able to take questions or comments from everyone. We have heard a lot, we have listened to a lot, and it's just time for us to just speak our hearts. We are already 34 minutes into our 1 hour, so you can imagine, but we will keep on. So I don't know if I can see. Let me see. I can't see any hands up. Let me see if I can see any hands up.
Maybe
No.
Maybe what we can do is just, you know, I see a lot of the sisters are, you know, their cameras are on, so maybe they, you know,
Okay.
I think everyone can just come in.
Okay, as long as we don't talk over each other. Yeah. So put your camera on and let us see you, and then let's just 1 minute, 2 minutes, say what it is that you have to say, and let's have someone else.
We're waiting for the music.
Don't be shy, yo.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. Hello, is this Immaculate or?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, this is Diaka. Okay.
Yes, this is Yaka, and I just wanted to thank everyone that participated, and I wanted to thank Verlaine for really, and the whole staff for putting this together. And I also just wanted to really point out that we must keep the conversation going, that we must have these talks, we must until, you know, our voices drown their, you know, negative comments or liberate all the other women out there that have trouble finding their own voice. So that's all I wanted to add, that we really need to keep the conversation going. We really need to break the silence. We really need to keep talking, keep pushing, keep talking, keep pushing until, you know, the whole world hears us, you know, because it's really important to have the conversation. It's really, even though, I mean, and the more difficult and the more uncomfortable the conversation is, the more meaningful and the more impact it will have, because that's how we break down stereotypes. That's how we bring to light all the bad practices that are being done behind closed doors. So it's really, really important to keep the conversation. So congratulations to all of you guys, and really let's keep the conversation going. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diaka. Anyone else? Immaculate, I see your microphone is on. Do you want to say something?
Probably just to appreciate every speaker who's spoken today. They've spoken truth to power. And just to thank V for the platform, because it is in such platform that our voices as women are amplifying, and just encouraging one another. And the theme, of course, has been holding each other's hands and not being afraid to speak up. So it has been uplifting, and I look forward to such platforms, because this is our own safe space as women, where we are not afraid to speak, where we don't feel threatened, and we feel embraced. So thank you to everyone who spoke today.
Thank you so much, Immaculate. Fadimata, your hand is up. Please, you can go on.
Hi everyone. I was just here by
Hi.
myself, nodding and clapping. Thank you so much. I came to discover Zahara's Dream recently, and I want to thank Verlaine and wish Verlaine a quick recovery. We are praying for you. Verlaine, you are impacting our lives. We don't know you. I personally discovered you recently, but you have such a positive impact every day in my life. And that's the power of being positive in your own life. And I think that's what everyone said. I just wanted to say that one thing I discovered through my own life and through my work experience is we may not be able to change the world surrounding us easily because there are so many things that are intergeneration, and the world will keep being unfair to us. But I think what will help us go through is this self-confidence, this feeling that we belong, and this feeling that there is someone else holding me, and there is someone there for me. And that is the hope. And I wish some of us had this self-confidence and this feeling of belonging and this value when we were younger, when we were much younger. But it's never too late. I'm still proud to learn from all of you. I'm still happy to be connected with all of you. I can never be grateful enough for the connections, whatever they are, that made me come to this place today. So, and I'm sure in a year time, what I will gain from these calls and from all the interaction will be amazing. So I'm proud of Verlaine for bringing this generation from the younger generation to the older. And this is what the world needs. This is the healing that we all need. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Fadimata. What you have said is really true. This is the healing that the world needs, indeed. Anyone else? Anyone want to join the party? Gladys, I see your mic is on and your mic is on. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me perfectly? Yeah?
Yes, we can. There's a lot of this. Yeah, yes, we can. Now we can hear you.
Well, I just wanted to say again, thank you, Sister Verlaine. And I'm saying this again, I've seen this many times, but you have a beautiful soul. And I think what brings us together is that soul that you have, because we know that you're dedicated and you're doing this, it comes from the heart. And I think that as women, we go through a lot of things, and we, as you said, we go through a lot of shit, to be honest. But what keeps us going is this strength that we have and this sisterhood that we can build. And even though there are some other women, unfortunately, that bleed and don't recognize their own suffering, I think that along the way we meet beautiful souls like yours that actually help us keep faith in humanity. And that's what I want to say. And that's what Be Powerfully is about this humanity, this shared denominator, as you said. And again, thank you, my dear.
Thank you so much, Gladys. Great hearing from you. Let's see if we have any hands that are up.
And sisters, share your stories, huh? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I think, this is really the space. If you have something that you want to share that is, about your life and your story, please come in.
Can I just say something very quickly? I think that the blessing in disguise of the COVID pandemic is that we're able to meet like this virtually, which would have been totally impossible if we're meeting in the US, trying to get a visa. I mean, I don't know about you, travel on African passports like myself, even though I work for the UN, it's just incredibly crazy. But this opportunity for me is precious. And I think even as the world transcends into this new normal, we have to remember that this, in a way, was a gift to us to begin to be the change and to have this collective conversation. And Verlaine, thank you. Merci beaucoup. C'était tellement spécial, c'est génial. And just something that is really beyond. And I would encourage maybe to also create a space, curate a space on Zahara's Dream to do short blogs like all those women who are on this, to just, write 500 words about how they feel and whatever, just so that we begin to see the stories of all these different women. I'm so in awe and I'm so honored to be part of this community. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mumba. That was really awesome. We have Frederick with his hand up. Frederick, please go ahead.
So my next advice to the president is that
hello, Frederick.
You can hear me?
Yes,
can
but
you hear me?
Yeah, but the TV behind you is louder than you are.
Let me just switch it off. I think it will be better.
Okay.
So now?
Much better. We can hear you, but we can't see you. We would love to see the men that are in the room to support us.
Are you able to see me?
Not yet, but you can go ahead and talk as you figure out your video.
Yeah, that will be fine. First, I really want to say thank you, guys, at least for the opportunity. I think it usually sometimes find it weird when a man is among listening to women. But for me, I think it's usually a passion that really an history that came in since I was young, and it's sort of like a testimony that I had since all those kind of days in my own life, bringing up in a country called Kenya with all the taboos, and being also born in a family of cultures. So I think the most courageous thing that I really love and I really want to really appreciate to women is the unity that they have in all themselves. And a bit when I say about my testimony, a bit I think if time allows.
Frederick, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
So when I think when there was a moment that when I was still young and my dad passed on in the year 1998, and I know my dad was a cop. So you really put understanding who a police officer is and all the kind of duties. But I really appreciated my dad because each and every time we really figure out a woman to be a person that does everything: cooking, washing the dishes, washing the clothes, making sure the kids are fed, and each and everything. But it was something so much unique to my dad because he was granting that I married a woman. And this woman doesn't mean that he or she is supposed to do all these kind of things. You are the children, so you need also to start knowing that how ugali is being cooked, how to wash your clothes, how to do each and everything and all the chores. So it was putting us all, being I was the firstborn and we only have one lady in our family. So it's putting us all of us are equal. So in only this mindset that was set, even if my dad passed on, when my mom came now, it was now her taking care of us. We are 4 in our family. This is the only thing I really remember up to date. He mentioned one thing: despite you and your dad is not around, I'll make sure you guys take your education to any level, even if we'll eat ugali and that salt, but I'll make sure you guys, you have reached your every potential in your own life. So for me, when I really take it very seriously when it comes to the issues of a woman. And that's why when I hear this kind of voices and this kind of testimonies that have been mentioned today, I really appreciate so much because this world will never make any step ahead without the solution of a woman standing in a certain gap that is needed. So I really want to appreciate so much for the platform that have been set aside. And believe you me, I will not hesitate to be part and parcel of listening, being part and parcel to put this change ahead. Even if they'll mention names. I know at this moment people will mention like, seriously, Fred? Why? But deep down in me, I usually put myself, there is equality in life, and doing everything is a part and parcel of every human race to make a change in this world. There's nobody, even in the eyes of God, there's nobody who is a woman, there's nobody who is a man. Only sees us as children. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Frederick. And yes, I see Fadmata is saying that we need positive role models like Frederick in our journey to change society, and that is very true. We cannot do this on our own. Fadmata, you have spoken, but let's have Umi. Umi, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for this day. Thank you. First of all, I'm going to start with Valin. Thank you so much for creating this platform. I have known Valin for a very long time, and for me, she has been a sister, she has been a mentor, she has been a teacher. I don't know how to even describe her. So whatever we see on the Zahara's dream, I know it. I felt it because she guided me from day one. So I just want to say thank you, Valin, and there is more to come. Secondly, I want to say thank you to all the speakers. My mentor also, Crystal, was speaking today, and I felt it when she said trying to find genuine sisterhood, because I think most of us, we suffered, we struggle with that. Sometimes you meet people, you open up to them, you give them your all, but at the end of the day, you realize that, no, these are not the people that I should have given my energy. I wasted my energy. And sometimes you give up, or sometimes you don't give up. You keep going. Thank you, Zahara's dream, and thank you everyone who spoke today. Because for me, as a young child growing up, what I've realized and what I've learned through my journey was that our options are limited. Our options are, oh, you know what, you just have to go to school, or you get married and have a child. Or for you, pain is for women. That is what is always associated with us. Pain is for women. But they will never give us another option, or to learn, or to teach us that, no, pain is not for women. When you are in pain, you should cry, you should scream, you should ask for help. But we don't have that. Secondly, for FGM, because I'm passionate, I'm a survivor of FGM, we are given the option, oh no, you don't have an option. You have to satisfy your husband. Sexual intercourse, when it comes, you have to satisfy him. We are not given the option that, hey, you can be satisfied sexually. You can be satisfied sexually, or you can satisfy a man without any part of yours is removed or cut or excised. We don't have that option. We are not even allowed to talk about it. That, hey, it is part of you. That was why God created it. That was why God put it for you. So what are we going to do to make sure that, hey, we can talk about these uncomfortable issues? That, hey, I am a woman, I am born, you should not limit my sexual desires. Hey, I am a woman, I have a voice, I was married. I am not the one who was having a problem for not having a child. It was the man. How can we have this conversation where women can be empowered and listened to? And the other thing I've learned is that sometimes I love when I see Dr. Sanda, because you know why? Growing up, the moment you even hear the word doctor, you are like, you worship them, you love them, you respect them, and you always want to have a space with them. You want to talk to them, but most times, either they are busy, or you have to talk to their assistant, or you have to wait. But look at her, she's always here. She always talks to us. She always emphasizes self-care, to love yourself. But how can you love yourself if you are not taught to love yourself? If you are not given the chance to love yourself? If you are not given the chance for you to express your voice? So for me, Zahara's dream is not only where we can talk, but it's for us to manifest that this is what Zahara's dream has done for me. That I can talk today about this young woman who allowed and listened to me when I was broken into different pieces, but she tried to help me to put myself together by listening, by guiding me, for me to realize that, okay, I have a checklist. I have to check all what I have on my checklist to realize that I can be more than what I am. And society is what we have. We are all to be blamed, including our mothers, because they train us that we cannot say this, we cannot talk like this, we cannot do that. So how can we change the next generation that we are here to listen to them, to guide them without insisting on them? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Umi. That was very heartfelt. Thank you. Fadimata, yes, I did see your message. Thank you for sending it through. And you say what I wanted to share is that we also need to be role models to the young girls. Many girls out there don't have strong women to look up to. So let's look for these young girls out there, hold their hands to build their self-confidence and help them dream. Let us give back and build the next generation. Thank you so much, Fadimata. Anyone else that has something to share? We have about, I think, 14 minutes left. Is that all? Any other brave people?
Maybe if I make, if no one wants to come, perhaps I know DJ Ria Situ good, because I know DJ Ria is is still in. Huh?
Yeah, I saw her. She's still logged on.
Okay, good. And I'm going. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks, dear.
Ria, I see you're on, but I don't know if you are able to hear us.
I see your sister Situ. Go Situ, go Situ, go Situ.
Thank you. So, you know, the piece I just wanted to mention quickly is that I know, you know, some of us, a lot of us are actually, you know, in different stages in our professional, you know, careers, maybe changing jobs and things like that. The issue around, like, you know, being able to know your worth, right, and get paid your worth. You know, Nabu talked about this in the opening remarks. I think it's something that's super, super important for us, and I really encourage everybody to do more research around it. You know, we know that, you know, again, research says that, you know, 50% of men always negotiate their salaries. You know, barely 20% of women do, right? It always stems from, you know, either the lack of voice, the lack of confidence, almost like, you know, feeling thankful that, you know, we're being given a job instead of really, you know, understanding that, again, that we're bringing something to the table, that we're bringing value to the company, therefore that we need to be, you know, paid, you know, what we really deserve. So always, like, really keeping in the back of my mind, you know, doing your own research, you know, what is this work, you know, how much should I really be paid for this job, and really going after it. And, you know, looking for other sisters, maybe, you know, who have better experiences in negotiating such things. So you're better prepared in having those conversations. I think that's where the mentorship really comes to play here, where we can really all kind of, like, you know, support one another. Because, like I said, we're all at different levels in our journeys, in our professional journeys. And, you know, some are farther, you know, than others. But we can collectively, in some ways, kind of, like, you know, be a support to one another. And the other piece is really also around, like, you know, when we're even looking for jobs in general. I remember, like, my current position, I said, you know, I'm a manager. But initially, like, you know, I wanted to go for a supervisor position. And someone said, well, looking at your resume, you should go for the manager position. And I said, are you sure? Right? So, and I, you know, went for the job and I got the job. And that really got me thinking that all the time, why initially did I even think that, you know, this is not something that I could do, right? And it always go back to how do you really build that, you know, self-confidence? How do you find a mentor? How do you not just go into these things alone and really figure out how to be better prepared? So you're actually, again, moving on that ladder and getting the things that you deserve in moving, along professionally. I just wanted to, point out those two things to the sisters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Setu. We have 10 minutes. Do we have anyone else? Ria, are you there? We see you online, but I don't know. Okay, Irene, please go ahead.
Yes. Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Yes, and we can see you. Yeah, we can hear you now.
So I just wanted to thank everyone tonight, all the speakers, for this amazing conversation.
Akitewa, we shall come to you after.
It's breaking. Hello?
Pardon? Hello, we can see you and we can hear you. Please
Okay.
go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, my connection is not the best. So I wanted to thank everyone, all the speakers tonight, for this amazing conversation, because it has made my day. I also live abroad, and I feel like I don't have my she village here. So thank you so much, Verlaine, for creating this platform where we are all connecting and we are coming close to each other. Even if virtually, this has helped me a lot, I must say. And also, I wanted to thank you for insisting on the fact that we should help each other and we should not be seeing each other as enemies, because this is very important, especially because every day we face an environment, most times in our workspace, we face so much antagonism and people who are very competitive and try to bring us down. So thank you so much for creating this environment where we can rise together.
Thank you, Irene. Akintewe, are you there? I saw you.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I will not be able to turn on my video. It's late here and we don't have electricity. So even if I turn it on, you won't be able to see my face. I just want to say thank you to Zahara's Dream, the team, Mama Verlaine, my mentor, Mama Seto. I came in contact with Zahara's Dream earlier this year, and for the past months, it's been a huge part of my life. Every day I'm learning as a young person. Let me use the word, being initiated into a sisterhood of women who are doing amazing in their careers, and seeing them, hearing them talk, listening to their stories. I am seeing the legacy they are laying down, and I know it is like my duty to also pass on the baton and keep up the journey. So thank you so much for this opportunity, this sisterhood celebration. I am living here today empowered, stronger as a woman, and I am going to be assertive. I am going to use my voice, and I am going to keep up my work as a woman advocate. So thank you so much, Zahara's Dream. It is an honor to learn.
Thank you so much, Akitewe. That was great hearing from you. Any last people that want to do this? No? Okay,
Nothing
we only have 6 minutes left.
I just want to say thank you to everyone. I switched off my video for a little bit. I had to jump onto mommy duties, but thank you so very much, everybody. Thank you, Verlaine, for inviting us, and I hope you feel
Cindy,
better.
are you there? Okay.
Yes, I'm here. And ladies, let us stay connected, and thank you for the inspiration, the reminders, for encouragement, and we are a village. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you so much, sis. So are we having a party? Cindy, you left before the party. I know Ria has the DJ.
I don't know if Ria is gonna come.
Ria.
She's online, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. Let me check.
Anyone else? We have 5 minutes left.
Yes, and I don't want, I know, Aini, thank you so much, sis. I know you've been at it for over 2 hours moderating, so we need to also pamper the pilot. You know, we say pamper the pilot. I'm sure you want to get some water, something to eat.
Sure.
Yeah, so
9 p.m. here, so
but thank you so much, sis. Thank you.
thank you too. Thank you for the opportunity. Okay, so do we call it a day?
All right, so everyone have a blessed week, have a blessed summer 2020. I know, Gladys, you said bring on the music. We bring on the music next session.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I love the session music, so it's okay.
Okay. I will ask Ria to send a mixtape to Paris.
Amen, please.
Yeah, most definitely.
Have a beautiful, blessed rest.
Okay.
Blessed summer. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Bye
babe.
bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. Bye. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.